Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Let's see. StreamYard is trying to go back to some of our accounts. So if you're watching this while we're in mid-adjustment, apologies. But we're just making sure StreamYard is connected to all of the various Facebooks that it should be connected to. There we go. Let's get you reconnected to Civic Media. I wonder if it's because I'm sharing this with some courier folks and maybe they were on last night. Okay, there's that one. Okay. Looks like we're reconnected to everybody. So good morning. Thanks for your patience all. It's Thursday, August 14th, 2025. I'm Pat Kreitlow here on Lake Wissota. Coming up on the program today, now that we've got all of our little ducks in a row, we'll talk to Sharita Booker about some of the many events going on around the state this weekend. Let's see. Living in an era where the MAGA far right can't stop drifting further to the right, Wisconsin now has a candidate for governor with a position that sounds a lot like Oprah. You get a gun, and you get a gun, and you get a gun. Because Bill Berrien wants to eliminate permits for concealed weapons. What could possibly go wrong? Let's see. We'll talk to a new candidate for state senate, Mike Van Someren of Delafield, who announced he's going to be running in the Suburban Milwaukee district, currently represented by Republican Senator Chris Kapenga. We'll talk about the Kennedy Center, which I guess will someday be named the Trump Center, about the guy who made himself the chair of the board and now has made himself host of the Kennedy Center Honors and has picked the unique crop of honorees for the Kennedy Center Honors for this year. Let's see. We'll also check in with Sean O'Malley about your money and the markets and so much more still to come on this Thursday morning, live from Lake Wissota here on the Civic Media Radio Network. The show gets started at 6:06, so we will see you in just over 3 minutes. See you soon. Yes, we probably will not see Todd Alba today.
Oh, no.
He has a dentist appointment.
Dentist? That's not more important.
I know.
Hell. Jeez. They're dropping like flies from our content calendar here.
I know. What a week. It's like it's summer or something here.
That's true.
How dare people take some time off?
Brandon Woodruff.
I was telling my wife last night that I was more nervous about. I wanted to win the burgers for everybody, you know, in the stands, and include myself. It's a cool thing. Like, you could tell the energy around today is like on a day game was a little bit more than usual. Seriously, I wanted to win those burgers bad, for sure.
That's the Brewers' Brandon Woodruff. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Connecting audiences, powering brands. This is Civic Media. Learn more at civicmedia.us/advertise.
Mostly sunny today. Our high right around 82 this afternoon. Tonight, it will be mostly clear with a low dropping into the low to mid-60s. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and even warmer with a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 59.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
What is your feeling about Donald Trump basically taking over law enforcement in Washington, D.C.? Joe from Madison, what you got for us?
We're going to be paying for this. At the same time, we're taking cuts in healthcare, education, transportation, you name it, we're taking cuts. It's an absolute waste of money. Crime is down. It's a 30-year low in Washington, D.C. So instead of dissing that city and lying about what they've done, how about looking at how they've succeeded?
The award-winning Maggie Dawn Show. Weekday afternoons from 4 until 6. Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel.
Public schools and private schools, when the people who are sitting to the left and to the right of me in classes, and when the professors and the TAs and the staff don't all look the same, education is promoted. You get a better sense of what the world is all about. We know that also because our Supreme Court has said so. Brown versus Board of Education, Brown versus Board of Education 2.
Amicus, a law review.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06 on this Thursday morning. We've made it to Thursday, August 14th, 2025. It is another beautiful morning to have you here up north, live from Lake Wissota, from wherever you're spending your mornings, listening across the Civic Media Radio Network. And if you're watching us on social media, if you're getting us by a podcast, if you're getting us over the app, it still counts. We're still very happy to have you along, starting your day right here. I got a question for you, and producer Parker Olson can be part of the answering group. Ladies and gentlemen, who wants a free hamburger? Because it's here. Parker's ready. Parker would like his free George Webb hamburger, which, again, for our listeners in the southeastern part of the state, southern eastern parts, they're all like, this is awesome. George Webb going to give us free burgers. And then the other 2/3 of the state is like, what is that? Why do they keep talking about that? You know what? Don't worry about it. Just the whole reason people get to be happy about this is 12 in a row. 12 wins in a row by your Milwaukee Brewers. Tony asking on YouTube, do they deliver to Ashland? No, I don't think so. I think the burger might be a little chilled by the time it gets there. But
That's a really long Uber Eats drive. I don't know.
You can still be happy for the fact that the Brewers once again, and I mean, at first the Brewers went up something like, I don't know, 6-0, was it? And then Pittsburgh came pecking back. I think it was like 6-5 or something at one point. And of course, our friend Dan Schumacher, who's a Cubs fan, and he's watching the game and he's texting, can't wait for the losing streak to end. And it didn't end at all. William Contreras, 4 RBIs. Christian Yelich drove in 3 runs. And Milwaukee scored double-digit runs for the second straight game and the 4th time this month in beating the Pirates 12-5 yesterday. So 12 in a row for the Brewers, who already had an 11-game win streak and an 8-game win streak, now have one that's at 12 games and counting. This is fun.
This is very fun. Offense is ridiculous right now. The last 5 games, they've scored at least 7 runs. So
it is.
I don't know
incredible.
if you keep up with baseball, but if you're scoring a touchdown every game, that's pretty good.
Yeah, or in this case, 4 field goals, whatever gets the work done. And Pat Murphy, refers to his team as the Woodpeckers, and think of it this way: the Brewers belted out 12 hits yesterday, but only 2 of them were for extra bases. 2 doubles. It's otherwise just single after single after single, and they just peck away. They put the ball in play. They run real fast, and they score the runs.
That's the cool thing, and I think we've said this a couple of times now about the Brewers, is they play such good fundamental baseball. Like, the base running is spectacular. Every play defensively is just a clinic right now, and the pitching is so nice. Everything is awesome. They're doing it the way I want to. They're putting balls in play. That's how you win games, Pat.
You sound like the Lego movie. Everything is awesome. And it is. I mean, but here's the thing. When you mentioned, just putting the ball in play and small ball and things like that, I think like every time a small market team does well, it's because of small ball. They can't afford the big giant home run hitters. And so that's the way that it works here. Look at the text line. Look what just came in here. Jim in Brookfield. Here's his text. Jim in Brookfield is ready for a free George Webb burger. The franchise will be announcing today when the giveaway will take place. And there's a gentleman who I assume is Jim in Brookfield standing outside a George Webb with a big George Webb restaurant sign right there. That is outstanding. That is great. And yes, as Tony says, everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Power of friendship, baby.
The power of friendship. That's exactly what this is. So for folks tuning in early, no, this is not a sports talk station, but this is a happy talk station, and this is happy stuff. This works for us.
Yeah.
Because, again, you don't know how long the ride's going to last. And on top of that, your attention's going to be divided before you know it. Packer season will get going, and, we'll have all the fall sports to look forward to. But today's question, who wants a free burger? That's a fun one to answer. Because it's all of Wisconsin. You get a burger, and you get a burger, and you get a burger. Coming up today on the program, indecidedly less happy news, but when we get back to what's happening in the headlines, we're in this MAGA era now, and we have a Republican Party that cannot stop drifting further to the far right extreme. And now, officially, Wisconsin has a candidate for governor with a position on public safety that puts a sickening spin on that old Oprah Winfrey line. Go something like this. You get a gun, and you get a gun, and you get a gun. And we're going to talk later to Joe Zepecki about candidate Bill Berrien's idea to eliminate permits and encourage flooding the streets with concealed weapons. What could possibly go wrong? The president's extremism means that, frankly, no Republican candidate, not even any Republican incumbent, should take their election for granted in 2026. Even in a suburban Milwaukee district that went for Donald Trump by 34 points last year. We're going to talk to Mike Van Someren of Delafield, who announced yesterday that he's challenging State Senator Chris Kapenga in that suburban Milwaukee district, because after all, suburban Milwaukee district is not synonymous with solidly Republican anymore. From a national standpoint, talking about an extreme president, leave it to a master narcissist to fire board members from the Kennedy Center, appoint new members who would vote to make him their chairman, and then name himself as the host of this year's Kennedy Center Honors. All I need is that Austin Powers clip. Allow myself to introduce myself. It's Donald Trump all over. And they want to name the Opera House there after Melania Trump. We will have details on, just the latest blow to American culture and the arts, all coming up. Sharita Booker, in less than 10 minutes, will review some of the many events going on around the state this weekend. And we will get a look at your money and the markets with Sean O'Malley as well. Mike Clemens is in Indianapolis. So are the Packers. They have a practice session going on today with the Indianapolis Colts. The two teams will then play a preseason game Saturday afternoon, noon, I believe, at Lucas Oil Stadium. We will talk to Mike Clemens live from Indy tomorrow morning at 8:30, as some folks, are already getting that much closer to football season, which leads to this question. Have you done fantasy football? And do you like fantasy football? Okay, so you haven't done it yet.
Not this season, no.
Okay.
Our draft is on, I think, the 29th. So
So you're doing it. You're going to be doing it for the first time here.
Oh, no. Sorry. I thought you meant have I done it yet this year?
This year, yes.
No, I've been doing fantasy for most of college, a couple of buddies.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so you still do it?
Not particularly well, but I do it. So,
okay.
Like many things in life, actually. I do it, but not particularly well.
Well, it's just that I looked, I tried it for a bit, and I wanted to see if misery loved company. And a simple Google search will lead to articles like this. Why I finally gave up playing fantasy football. Why I stopped playing fantasy football. What caused you to stop playing fantasy football? I quit fantasy football. Fantasy football is dumb, and I quit, and I'm never playing again.
I'm sensing a theme.
I've been commissioner for 15 years, and I might be quitting my league. I quit fantasy football, and so can you. Anybody else on the verge of quitting fantasy football? Hey, have any of you guys realized you can't enjoy watching football as much as you did before fantasy football? That's just page one of all the Google results that come from putting in why I gave up fantasy football.
Yeah, it does add like a wrinkle of work to football.
A
Which
wrinkle?
A wrinkle.
A wrinkle. Yeah. A wrinkle of work only gets you as far as when you realize that it's the bye week for your quarterback and you completely forgot that you don't have a second quarterback on the bench or something like that. It's one of those things that, yes, it's fun, like, for the first little bit. And like one of those headlines said something about 15 years. I can't imagine 15 years of doing that. I did it for maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5, something like that. And then said, I'd actually like to enjoy the game, although I will say this much. When you first start doing it, you realize, oh, wow, I actually care about all these games. I care about who, the quarterback is for the Chargers or whatever. And then after about 3 years or so, you're like, why do I have to worry about who's the quarterback for the Chargers? I have a team already.
Yeah. My point of approach is I really only care about it as I'm setting my lineup. And that is all. I will try not to look at it for the rest of the week.
Yes.
Don't monitor it. Just get ready. That's all. That is my approach that has kept me fairly happy.
By the way, I say all this as the defending reigning champion of the Courier Newsroom fantasy football, because last year I basically did the set it and forget it. I mean, I think there clearly were 1 or 2 weeks where I really outkicked the coverage, shall we say, where I went, oh wow, my team was on fire. I wish I'd have put some thought into this, but I simply drafted well. And in fact, I wasn't going to join last year. It was just a last minute thing. Sure. And so here I am telling people, if you want to quit fantasy football, it's okay. Yeah. Then again, I might get sucked back into it this year. I think I'm out and then they reel me back in. So, yeah,
that's all right. Have you ever done fantasy baseball?
Yes, I
did that.
That's
one you forget about.
That is, that's a full-time job, fantasy baseball. And again, I think I only did it the 1 year. And at the start of the year, it feels so cool. I was doing it through Yahoo, and they've got, quite the dashboard there where you just click the buttons for, I want this player today, and I want that player, and I want this player. But man, you're not even a third of the way into the season going, oh my God, I got to do this again, because teams have off days all the time. And you got to be a real.
And lineups too, even because Bryce Terang isn't playing every day.
No. And that is another excellent point, is not to do an old man thing, but it used to be that there were very few off days. Lineups were much more predictable. There's nothing like that now. So look, if you've got your draft coming up, I want you to enjoy it, but I just also want you to know it is not life, So,
and if you are doing it, please let us know, what is the punishment for the person who gets last in your league? I'm very curious.
Oh, I did not know leagues had that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, see, I've always been in leagues that were so bad that you didn't want to single out the person who came in last because, there was first place and then everybody else was tied for last, basically.
My league has some of my friends little siblings in it, so we don't do punishments. Okay. However, I have seen some good ones. I have seen guys in a clown suit at Brewer games with signs.
Not that kind of stuff. Public humiliation?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
This is a horrible rabbit hole that you do not want to go down if that is what you think is bad.
Oh, no, people. Come on. We're here. We're friends. Friends don't do that to other friends. For me, I'll wrap up as I did with Dan Schumacher here, talking about the Brewers game, and he's a Cubs fan. The humiliation is simply the outcome of the game itself. When your friend is forced to send you middle finger emojis, that's all the farther it needs to get. We don't need any further public humiliation. Coming up just moments away, Sharita Booker talks about weekend events, and then Melissa Baldoff will have our climate check as well. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota. Thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
I saw one punishment. I believe actually, I think Dom told me about this one. You have to go to a bar, open to close, and you're not allowed to drink at all.
What is wrong with people? These are your friends. See, I don't get that when all the different practical joke shows and things like that.
Yeah.
That's never been friendship to me. That's and I love being as passive aggressive as the next person, but again, passive aggressive, not wildly aggressive. Like make your friend hate you. That's just wrong. But all right, well. We'll see if anybody contributes to that one. So that's got that. All right, Sharita, right into the thing after the break. All right, good. We'll be ready.
Mm-hmm.
Mattress sale. Wake up. Sleep better. Verlo.
Blind Shot Social Club, a perfect blend of cool, casual dining, indoor golf with space for events, craft cocktails, and non-alcoholic drinks too. A hidden gem on Madison's East Side. Blind Shot Social Club, open to everyone. BlindShotSocialClub.com.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine.
Oh boy. This is a busy calendar that we've got for weekend events in Wisconsin. You would think that it's the middle of summer, and it is. And Sharita Booker is going to be along in just a sec. We'll talk about some of the local festivals, but there are all kinds of county fairs. So if you are in or near one of these counties, go check out your county fair this weekend. The Ashland County Fair is going on. This is alphabetical, by the way. The Brown County Fair, the Dodge County Fair, the Door County Fair, if you're up in that part of the state, the Grant County Fair, if you're over at the other part of the state, the Juneau County Fair, the Kenosha County Fair, the Sawyer County Fair, and the Waushara County Fair. All of those going on this weekend, along with lots of community festivals. And Sharita Booker, our social media manager, is going to tell us about some of them now. Sharita, welcome. How are you?
Hey, Pat, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. And wondering where we even start on these things. I guess we'll start with corn. And I give my annual disclaimer here that Sun Prairie is much bigger than Loyal, Wisconsin, up in Clark County. But when I think of Corn Fest, I think of Loyal. Gets a lot of folks coming into Clark County for that. But down closer to the Madison area, Sun Prairie has a great big sweet corn festival that is underway for this weekend.
Yep, and it's actually their 72nd annual corn festival, and that'll run through Sunday. And there will be 80 tons of Wisconsin-grown corn served. The festival will also include other foods, beer, a parade, a block party, a carnival for the kids, and also a kids' corner with crafts, games, face painting, and live music. We'll also be there by the Dirty Birds, Madison County, Mad City Funk, and Super Tuesday. For more information on that event, visit sunprairiecornfest.com.
And again, that's sunprairiecornfest.com. I love this time of year for that. I know I've mentioned a couple of times already stopping at one of the farms near here that just sells tons of sweet corn. Have you gotten any sweet corn yet for this season?
No, and it's usually when I go to the state fair, I'll get some, and I didn't get any this year.
Oh, okay.
Such a letdown.
Well, you have to get it somewhere else, I guess. Let's see. Let's turn our attention to Lake Geneva, where the JCs have their Venetian Festival going on this weekend.
Yep, and that kicked off yesterday and will run through Sunday. There will be tons of family fun, from carnival rides and craft vendors to lumberjack shows, water ski displays, and tournaments like Bago. And for the foodies, expect all the carnival favorites like brats, burgers, hot dogs, fire roasted corn, shaved ice, and funnel cakes. There will also be live music every evening, and tonight's performance will be by 80s tribute band Rock Brigade. And Sunday, the lakefront will be lit by a glowing boat parade and the region's biggest fireworks show. And it's more than just for fun, it's for a cause. This 63-year tradition helps fund dozens of local charities and youth programs. So for more information about this event, visit VenetianFest.com.
Again, VenetianFest.com. Kelly Daniels is the entertainer tomorrow night. Rebecca and the Gray Notes Saturday afternoon. The Two Hype Crew Saturday night. Sunday includes Rock Central, the Big Al Wetzel Band, and the Venetian All-Stars. So a lot going on there as well. And I've mentioned this once or twice before. Irish Fest going on in Milwaukee. That's at the Henry Meyer Festival Park, where you find Summerfest, which thankfully was not as hard hit as other parts of Milwaukee were. So Irish Fest is very much on for this weekend.
Yep, and there will be nearly 250 performances across 18 stages, spanning from traditional Irish to indie Celtic music. And visitors can enjoy art, genealogy, Gaelic lessons, and family fun zones from Leprechaun Village to a playground and a passport game. There will also be over 35 food vendors, many Irish themed, but there will also be a variety of food options. You can also do some shopping at one of the 3 Celtic marketplaces and pick up artisan goods, artist merch, and keepsakes. Tickets are only $10 today, Thursday, and then Friday through Sunday, they'll be $27, and kids 12 and under are free. For more information or to get your tickets ahead of time, go to irishfest.com.
irishfest.com is the website for that one. And then, like I said, there's all kinds of local fairs and festivals that are going on this weekend. They include, along with all the county fairs that I mentioned, the Athens Fair is going on today through Sunday in Marathon County. How about this one, Sharita? The Beloit Taco Takedown on Saturday.
I love tacos. So
a taco fest. Yeah. In Adams County, they're in Grand Marsh. They're having the Corn and Tater Festival. It's not just corn, it's taters too. Hayward has the Northwoods Music and Art Festival on Saturday. Holman has Corn Fest Friday and Saturday. The Kenosha Harbor Park Jazz Rhythm and Blues Festival is Saturday. Let's see. The Manitowoc Lakeshore Balloon Grow is on Friday. The North Hudson Pepper Festival is this weekend. And of course, everything that Sharita just mentioned. Just get out of the house and enjoy as best you can. Hey, Sharita, thanks for the calendar update. Hope you have a great weekend.
You too, Pat.
I should have asked her as well. She was at a Brewers game recently, sent a photo of being out in the stands, said she hadn't been out to one for a long time and had a really great time at the game. Although, speaking of the Brewers, we are warned on the text line by Roger in Stevens Point. He says, caution, only one team has won the World Series after multiple 10-game winning streaks during the season, and that would be the Miracle Mets of 1969. Although you could argue this is the Milwaukee Miracle of 2025. It's just a little euchre magic. From Roger, he also notes this: summer is slipping away. In Wausau, today is the last sunrise before 6 a.m., and Sunday is the last sunset after 8 p.m. And we are now slipping under 14 hours of total daylight, and that is in no way depressing. If you missed it yesterday, the President of the United States, who named himself, he stacked the board and then named himself as the new chair of the Kennedy Center, also announced yesterday he's going to be the host of the Kennedy Center. Instead, he was asked to. He didn't seek it out, but the board, the one that he appointed, asked him to host it, and he announced that this year's inductees are George Strait, Sylvester Stallone, Gloria Gaynor, and the rock band Kiss. For the first time ever, there are no honorees from the fields of jazz, classical music, or dance. But, we got Rambo, so we got that going for us. Melissa Baldoff has our climate check and more after the Midwest Farm Report. That's coming up. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Media. Log on civicmedia.us/advertise.
As the harvest approaches, making sure our transportation arteries are healthy enough to carry that crop. Priority number one. I'm Pam Yankee, starting you off before the opening bell on a Thursday morning. Quick look at what's happening in agribusiness news. Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin is currently working on the Reliable Rail Service Act. She says in a time of low commodity prices and higher costs for inputs, a lot of rail services decide to concentrate their business outside of moving commodities. She says the Reliable Rail Service Act reminds them of their carrier obligations.
They preference their biggest customers, and they don't recognize that they have a common carrier duty to all shippers. My Reliable Rail Service Act helps us build a strong economy and lower costs for consumers and shippers by requiring the freight rail services to be reliable and to understand what their common carrier obligation means. We define that finally in our legislation so that we can help the enforcement agencies hold those freight rail companies to account.
Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin talking about the Reliable Rail Service Act, which basically would hold railroad services responsible for maintaining their lines, maintaining their equipment, and maintaining their staff to keep freight rolling across the United States. Market's a little lower in overnight electronic trade, at least for now on a Thursday morning. Numbers are next.
Wisconsin soybean growers have a lot of choices when it comes to selecting seed varieties. If you're a seed dealer, help make their choice a little easier by shining the spotlight on your products through the Wisconsin Soybean Yield Contest. By entering customers in the contest by the August 31st deadline, seed dealers will receive $100 for one grower, $200 for three, and $300 for five or more. Growers must complete an entry and harvest form to qualify. For more information, visit wisoybean.org.
How does a soybean become a Dairyland seed difference maker? It starts in the labs of Corteva Agriscience, where Enlist E3 technology is designed to fight the toughest weeds for the greatest yield potential. Then it's hand-selected by Dairyland seed agronomists to be the ideal fit for Midwestern soils and conditions. Finally, it's tested on acres by farmers like you to ensure it's proven to outperform. It's a long road, but the only way to make a difference. Find your soybean difference maker at dairylandseedsoybeans.com.
On Wednesday, the barrel and block cheese were both unchanged. Double A butter continues to drop down another 2.5 cents to $2.28 a pound. This morning, we've got December corn down a penny at $3.96. November soybeans are down a penny, $10.43. September wheat down 2 at $5.05. September class 3 milk that goes into cheese, that's down 13 cents, $18.55 a hundredweight. There's your market update. I'm Pam Yankee.
Come work with us. Civic Media has a number of great jobs across the state. Open now at civicmedia.us/careers.
Mostly sunny today. Our high right around 82 this afternoon. Tonight, it will be mostly clear with a low dropping into the low to mid 60s. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and even warmer with a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 58.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Why is cookie dough in everything now? It was fun when you were a kid and actually ate the cookie dough, but in ice cream, it's just it's like an interruption for the gorgeous texture that is cold cream ice cream. And then, and here's this uncooked egg and whatever it is. There's a fudge ribbon swirl, awesome. Vanilla ice cream, great. Peanut butter cups, great. Nuts, awesome. Cookie dough, barf.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8.
That's the first time I've actually listened to Pete's argument about that. I've heard that he was against cookie dough, and now, you know what? I kind of understand what he means.
It's not actual cookie dough with the raw egg, though.
I know that, but I get like the texture part. I sort of get that. I think the peanut butter cup is worse than the cookie dough. He's going to pull that card, but.
And now, schmutz in ice cream. Yay or nay? Melissa Baldoff is here with our weekly climate check. Melissa, how are you?
I'm doing all right, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing good. Now we do have something substantive to talk about, the anniversary of an important rebate program that came about through the Inflation Reduction Act. But I just caught this, and so we're literally just here to react to this. The headline in the New York Times: Trump cracks down on bird deaths, but only from wind turbines. Critics accuse the administration of a double standard, trying to stop wind projects because of potential bald eagle deaths, while easing the rules for gas companies and oil companies. The story says bald eagles must be protected to the fullest extent of the law from dangerous wind turbines. President Trump's Interior Secretary declared this week. But 4 months ago, Trump called for gutting the very law that applies the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act, calling it a burden on oil and gas producers. So you can kill the bald eagle for your oil and gas projects, but not for those wind projects. Again, not the onion. This is why climate segments are both frustrating and kind of entertaining in their tragic goofiness, Melissa.
Right. So, yeah.
No, can I
like
pause
you
just
said,
here to say that this pause right there, this is the worst thing I do all week. The worst thing, and somebody's going to call me out on it, that you bring poor Melissa on and you read some goofy headline about what Donald Trump does is doublespeak on the environment, and then I go, all right, Melissa, go. And what are you supposed to do with something like that? Really? I mean, I feel like you should just say, Donald Trump, everybody, drop the mic and walk away,
You know, it's a target-rich environment when we're talking about Donald Trump. There's always something to say, and I would say in this one, I mean, for one, you've got a good response there, just
right,
Donald Trump. But yeah, I mean, I animal lover. I don't want anything to happen to bald eagles or any other birds. But the just irony there. I don't even know that irony is the right word. Just
irony died so long ago. Yeah,
right. I mean, but the real deaths that and real health implications that millions of Americans, humans, will face because of his actions on rolling back our climate protections. It's just stunning to think that anyone could make decisions the way he does, and yet here we are.
And yet,
but you could say that about anything he does.
Here we are indeed. So let's get to more substantive news. That last week, for example, there was a celebration that went on about the homes rebate program. This is through the Inflation Reduction Act. There was an event a week ago in Washington Park that involved Congresswoman Gwen Moore and others, to note that thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, there is this rebate program that helps put cash back in people's pockets for doing energy efficiency projects on their home. And if I saw the news release right from Governor Evers, it's put out at least $2 million in rebates so far, and hopefully a lot more to come.
Yes, it's incredibly exciting that this program has been such a success in Wisconsin, and this is, I would say, thanks in large part to a number of folks and organizations who worked really hard on the front end to make sure that Wisconsin was going to be ready to go a year ago. And Wisconsin was the first state to be able to launch our home energy rebate program. And that's because so much work went in, to kind of get ready for that. So that starts with the leadership of Governor Evers and the folks that focus on energy and the PSC and the advocacy of organizations like Forward Together Wisconsin and like Green Homeowners United, which is really a fantastic success story here. Green Homeowners United, we've had Kevin Kane from GHU join us previously to talk about some of these programs. They, for anyone who's not familiar, they are a woman-owned union contractor in Southeast Wisconsin, and they have done more. Just their organization has done the most home energy rebates of any contractor in the country. Wisconsin has done, if not the most, one of the most of these projects in the country. So it's not only that we have this program, it's that it is incredibly successful here. And the good news for folks, we've had a lot of bad climate news, especially bad news about funding and programs that are available. The good news about this program is the money is already allocated. The money is in the state. It is with Focus on Energy, and people can still participate in this program, and they absolutely should, because if this money doesn't get spent, it just doesn't get spent, and it's not going to be used for anything else. So people should absolutely take advantage of this program, which is going to enable them to, do things like make their, home more energy efficient. So this is something that they should, get an energy assessment. For some people, if your income is low enough, you can get one for free. Otherwise, it's a few $100 to get the energy assessment. The energy assessment is required to be eligible for any of the rebates to get this work done. But there is a lot of good news available still for folks who, are interested in checking out what they're eligible for, how this can help their home, help them save money on their energy bills. And it was really, like I said, a really exciting event. Like you said, Congresswoman Gwen Moore was there, Governor Evers was there, we had Mayor Johnson there, Mandela Barnes, a number of other great partners from labor and the advocacy community. Really helped make this successful.
All right. Melissa Baldoff, more at focusonenergy.com. Melissa, have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Quick note on social media. We now have grown. Whoops. Let me put this right tape up here. There we go. There we go. We've got a new social media address. It's on Blue Sky. If you have looked at Twitter, X, whatever, and you've said, this is a dumpster fire, I'm ready for something else, plenty of people have been turning to Blue Sky. And you can do that as well. Just head over to Blue Sky and search for Up North News WI. That's basically the case with any of our social media spots is, search Up North News WI. TikTok is the weird one out. We're just Up North News there. But every place else, Up North News WI. And yes, we're still on Twitter if you can handle all the other garbage that's in there. But look for us on Blue Sky as well. Parker, what are you surfing when you're not, when you're doom scrolling, I guess is probably the better way to put it. When it's just use it. I'm sure you're under the age of 60, so it's probably not Facebook, right?
Correct.
Okay. You're not a Nazi, so it's probably not Twitter. So I guess that leaves us with Instagram.
I am
TikTok?
on Twitter actually quite a bit.
You are on Twitter quite a bit.
I am on Twitter quite a bit. I will say, though, I use Twitter purely, I only use the following page. I don't look at the For You stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I only get like the stuff that I follow and want to see.
I have finally figured that out as well.
Yeah. Well, that said, I live in the world of Division III football for the most part.
Sure.
Which is usually a pretty good community. However, there is an actor or two within our realm, which are making the community a little less fun for me to be watching. And the cesspool of Twitter has kind of spread to my little Division III world, and it makes me sad.
Well, they all want to be the next Derek Van Orden. So, you got to step up their game. So for folks watching on social media, it also popped up as a little video that gave all of the social media icons and the Up North News handle for each of those. Instead of Twitter, I used a little GIF of a dumpster fire, which Alicia really appreciated. So I thank you very much for that. Tony asks, hey, looks great. Did you make that in Adobe Express? No, I made it in Canva, and now I'm going to get a nastygram because Tony hates Canva. He does graphic design. And he also says he's under 40 and uses Facebook. So,
boy, I haven't used Facebook since I needed it for like updates if I was having tennis practice or not.
Wow. Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's the thing that I know and I'm used to. But I will say there's one missing from all of these, and that's Snapchat. and the entire extended family on my side is on Snapchat because my mom, who's about to turn 80 years old, embraced it. She recognized it was the only way she was going to get updates on her grandkids and now her great grandkids. And so she's on there. And so every so often we get, a photo of whatever flowers she's growing. Usually she's so proud of her plants, that they're growing.
She should be.
And that way she knows in return, she's going to get, some toddler, some baby taking their first steps, or, our grandkids, or, her great grandkids, at high school graduation or everything. So she's got to be the oldest Snapchat user that's out there. But she's embraced it to stay in touch with the family.
That's awesome. I like it.
Yep. Alicia says she's 41 and uses TikTok for doom scrolling. The algorithm on Instagram and TikTok thankfully has not turned on me yet. Now Twitter, it's all doom and gloom. It absolutely is. But on the others, I've still got them set where they're feeding me stuff that I like. It's either newsy content or like there are show clips. I mean, yesterday there must have been a half a dozen clips from The West Wing that popped up, just scrolling through. It's frankly the only way that I know that there's a show called Yellowstone. I've never watched an episode of it, but I feel like I know everything that's happened because of all the clips that come through.
You never saw
TikTok.
those ads during Sunday Night Football? Come on.
Oh, sure I did. But I watched, Sherry and I watched the very first episode of Yellowstone. Okay. And we checked out after that. We're like, oh, this is Dallas. We watched Dallas back in the late 1970s. This is Dallas with more violence. Okay, that's fine. Been there, done that. It clearly caught on, and it clearly has its moments. But now I just see it in TikTok form, which is probably the worst thing to do. I think every one of us now has an attention span of 8 seconds, and if it's not compelling, we just scroll.
So a habit that I picked up is while watching videos on YouTube on my phone, you know how you can leave the app and the video player will go up top and you can still be watching the video?
Yeah.
I do that, and then I'll also scroll Twitter while doing that, which is
you're dual screening.
I'm doubling down on my social media intake.
Wow, you are like cutting you may as well smoke cigarettes. They always say how smoking a cigarette cuts like 60 seconds off your lifespan. You're doing that with every one of these double clips.
The thing that bothers me is Instagram Reels. You can't swipe out of the app and it'll go into a little video player, so I can't also scroll Twitter at the same time. This angers me as someone who needs more things.
That would be a first world problem right there. Tony says he scrolls YouTube a lot. I would if they'd stop with the ads and know I'm not paying for YouTube Premium. And Alicia says my TikTok algorithm has moved to AvaGeek stuff finally. Well, good. See, and for Sherry, it's always it's cute, funny animal videos. Get those all the time. So if you want social media for your doom scrolling, just get yourself a spouse who also likes to laugh, and everybody will be happy. Today's history lesson is coming up next, as we do mornings, powered by Up North News here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Yeah, Instagram Reels. I really wish I could watch them while doing another thing on my phone at the same time.
Tony notes YouTube actually pays creators, and he supports that. I get that. And Alicia says she is so guilty of that, Parker. I do it with you guys in the morning.
See?
Hey, look at Parker's pointing at the screen going, see?
I'm not crazy.
Nope. Look at this. I think we're one big group therapy session on our various social media addictions and habits.
If there's anything that we need therapy on, it is 100% social media as a society.
Amen.
That's where we come in. At Aaron Weber Group, we crack open the market and find you the perfect home. Whether you're looking for a cozy starter home or a mansion with a snack pantry big enough for a lifetime supply of pistachios, we've got you covered. Call Aaron Weber Group at Powered by Compass today. We'll help you find a home that's nothing but perfect.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect.
800-217-9129. 800-217-9129. 800-217-9129.
I'm Angela Lang, filling in for Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. This week, Wisconsin Republican lawmakers called on Mayor Cavalier Johnson to urge Police Chief Jeffrey Norman to, quote, temporarily reorganize MPD to allow for maximum amount of available sworn officers to be assigned to our streets. The mayor's office pushed back and said, quote, we thank the state legislature for offering their opinions on police staffing. What they neglect to acknowledge is that crime in Milwaukee is down considerably when compared to the same time as last year. Mayor Johnson cited double-digit year-to-date decreases in robberies, arsons, aggravated assaults, vehicle thefts, carjackings, and non-fatal shootings. While Milwaukee certainly has its challenges, is this another dog whistle? It is also worth noting that the Milwaukee Police Association is in ongoing negotiations with the city on their union contract. With the City of Milwaukee budget process coming up, there's always a tension on how much the city invests in law enforcement versus how much they spend on preventative measures like the office of violence.
A lot of folks just think of, Simon and Garfunkel as a 70s duo and kind of forget about Seals and Crofts. Dash Crofts of Seals and Crofts is 85 years old today. There was also Loggins and Messina. I don't know that you see a lot of two-man duos anymore. The only one I think of is Oasis, and that would be the brothers that thankfully didn't break up on stage in London when Dan Schaefer was watching the concert there the other day. But I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm missing. What are the great duos of this day and age?
I can't. Travis and Jason Kelsey.
Okay,
that's all I got. Maybe they'll make an appearance on Taylor's album.
That would be funny. Hey, never say never. Welcome to today's history lesson. Again, Dash Crofts is 85 years old today. Frank Oppenheimer, the physicist, was born this day in 1912. Music legend David Crosby was born this day in 1941.
8 miles high, and when you touch
I know, you're like, well, wait a minute, David Crosby. Well, you play Crosby, Stills, and Nash. No, David Crosby was also part of the Byrds back in the day. Comedian Steve Martin is 80 years old today. Basketball player Magic Johnson is 66 years old. Actress Halle Berry turns 59 today, and Mila Kunis is 42 years old today. The number one song this week, 60 years ago today, was by Sonny and Cher.
I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
I Got You, Babe would be the number one song for 3 weeks in a row during this August of 1965. Let's see, in 1985, everybody thought Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson were best buds, which makes sense because they did, a duet or two themselves.
Every night she walks right in my dreams since I met her from the start. I'm so proud I am the only one who is special in her heart.
However, 3 years after this duet in The Girl Is Mine, this week in 1985, Long after Paul McCartney advised Michael Jackson to invest in music publishing, Michael Jackson made the winning bid of $47 million and bought the rights to more than 250 Lennon-McCartney Beatles songs, which turned out to be a great investment for Michael Jackson, but absolutely killed their friendship together, along with Paul McCartney.
That's crazy.
I remember that happening, and everybody just kind of doing this double take, like, he bought his friend's music catalog? He outbid his friend? And it's like, well, it's all business. This is what you do.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that sucks.
I know, right? Alicia on YouTube saying, Steve Martin looks good for 80. Yes, he does. I got to say, and he's not that far off of when he was like the world's biggest comedian in the mid and late 1970s.
I'm not familiar. I gotta look. Oh wow, he does look good for 80.
Yeah, see? Did you just say you're not familiar with Steve Martin?
Not incredibly. I know the name. Okay, Pat.
That's the guy the guy from the bank commercials, right? All right, moving on. This week in 2001, a band named Cake released this song. This, of course, would be Short Skirt, Long Jacket, released this day in 2001. And yeah, Adam notes as well, Steve Martin is also an amazing banjo player. This was the classic case of the kid who had to take violin lessons and then became very funny along the way, like Jack Benny, or in Steve Martin's case, the banjo. Yes. This is National Creamsicle Day. I have never been a big fan of the creamsicle, kind of that orange flavored thingy.
I'm not sure if I've ever had one, actually. The sense that I'm familiar with creamsicles is the using that as the name for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers old uniforms.
Okay. Well, I did have somebody made recently a creamsicle cake. That was amazing. I would highly recommend that. Today is National Navajo Code Talkers Day. This is National Financial Awareness Day. And let's see. And no, that's all I got for celebrity birthdays here. Yeah. And Alicia noting, Parker, I'm judging you heavily right now. So we've
what? As you should. That's fair. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Look, I'm just happy we had a segment today because as I'm having my bowl of Cheerios, I hear a little bing from the computer. So I walk over here to the home office and I take a look, and it's a note from Parker saying, "Where's today's history lesson?" Which kind of, caught me off guard because that's usually the very first thing I do when I'm prepping the next day's show is I'll grab the history lesson because it's out of a big document over the past, 3 years. It's 365 pages, one for every day as I throw in birthdays and I throw in music anniversaries and I update it and then I paste it in and clearly forgot that very basic step. And I'm waiting for the day that I'm sitting here, the commercial break ends, we're about to start the history lesson, nothing comes up. I look over on the other side of the screen, and there's Parker with his arms crossed going, did you forget something? Because he can't pull up the songs.
That is an excellent idea.
I mean, that is in that nightmare scheme of, going to school and you didn't do the homework or whatever, is one of these days this segment's going to open up, and I'm just going to scroll up, and I'm just going to see blank right there. There you go.
That's how I'll announce that I don't want to do the show anymore. I won't do the history lesson at all.
Yep,
I will protest.
I won't even tell you about it, Pat. We're just going to have... All right, funny guy, tap dance for the next 7 minutes. Okay, fine, I will. I will at least tap dance for another 20 seconds here or so to tell you about Free Ticket Friday, because that is coming up tomorrow. Listen for keywords throughout the day, starting here. Text that keyword via the Civic Media app, and you will be in a statewide drawing for Brewers tickets to a game next week. We'll tell you which game, and we'll tell you the keyword coming up in the 6 a.m. hour tomorrow. Those tickets are going fast. You're going to want these tickets. They're great. So much more ahead on these mornings powered by Up North News. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Oh, wow. Somebody parked it. Somebody stuck the landing.
That was off by like 2 seconds. I did, Pat, this happens so often. We're so close to timing it naturally perfectly. We were off by 5 seconds. I had to wait.
Ooh, Would have been nice. Pat, I fully believe you could vamp for a whole segment. Tony, I have vamped for 3 hours. I don't seek talking for 3 hours straight, but I've had to do it. And if I have to again, I will. But
yeah,
I heard one of the promos there, Angela Lang filling in for Dan Schaefer, which makes me so happy because I love Angela Lang. I think she's great. And I think Dan Schaefer is great. And the one consolation I have is not only that I can vamp for, a whole segment or vamp for a whole show, but it's that I'm the only one willing to get up before 4 a.m. to do this show, because Dan Schaefer could replace me in a heartbeat. Angela Lang could replace me in a heartbeat. There's so many more talented people, but you get the guy old enough to have to wake up and pee. And that's the whole business model behind this show. If I'm getting up this early to pee, I may as well get paid for it. You're welcome, Mr. and Ms. Middle America. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
I might pull that clip off of YouTube and make that into a promo. That was hilarious.
That would totally work for me. Yep. Tony says it's your monologue to Taylor Swift's SNL monologue song. Well, yeah, that's fair. I appreciate that.
People in the Milwaukee area
Just
have
be sure you include the accolades for Angela and Dan, because they are awesome people.
Or in their own basement. Stuart J. Waddles.
All right.
Every community impacted is doing things a little differently when it comes to helping clear away flood damaged items. Most have drop-off sites with increased hours of operations. The city of Milwaukee is among those helping with the drop-off. They're also assisting with the pickup.
In addition to the drop-off centers, the special curbside bulk pickup is ongoing throughout the city. If you place bulk items at your regular garbage collection point, and you call in, we will be able to pick those up. We understand there are some stuff that has been out there for 2 days already. We are trying to prioritize the city in the hardest hit areas. I've had many conversations with our elected officials on folks that are adjacent to waterways that have extreme damage. We're talking about hundreds of homes and stretches. We're trying to focus on those areas first.
Gerald Kruschke heads up the Milwaukee Department of Public Works. He said during a press conference that they're trying to move people quickly through their drop-off site.
Because we've seen that the public is really interested, we're deciding to extend our drop-off center hours until 6 p.m. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We generally close at 3, but we're trying to give those folks who work first shift an opportunity to access our drop-off centers, to give them a little more flexibility, so it's an extra 3 hours every day.
Leaders everywhere say it's important to report damage to properly assess the situation for recovery efforts. You can do that by calling 211.
Governor Tony Evers declared a state of emergency, so now the federal government may step in. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
It's the Packers and the Colts. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with Sports in Indiana, where the Packers face the Colts in a preseason game Saturday at noon. Today, the teams are here at the Colts facilities in a joint practice session. I talked to Packers backup quarterback Sean Clifford.
I think joint practice is always great because it's not going to be like the preseason where you're getting just vanilla looks and vanilla play calls. The joint practice is where people open it up and, you're going to still use a bunch of your different calls. You're going to have motion shifts. You're going to see a lot from their defense. They're not going to just be in your typical man match. You're going to get some pressures. You're going to maybe get some zero. So it's about reacting. And I think it's much more game-like.
Baseball, the Brewers head to Cincinnati after beating the Pirates 12-5, winning their 12th game in a row.
I think we're fortunate today, and I'm not taking anything away from our guys because we're playing with confidence. It's hard to keep winning Major League games. It's just they're enjoying playing this way. They understand the responsibility at the plate.
That's Brewers manager Pat Murphy with Sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
Rebuilding and refreshing local radio one station at a time. This Civic Media radio station is proud to be a part of your community. Learn more at civicmedia.us.
Mostly sunny today. Our high right around 82 this afternoon. Tonight, it will be mostly clear with a low dropping into the low to mid-60s. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and even warmer with a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 59.
I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show. If you're looking for honest talk, real stories, and straight-up news that matters to you, tune in to The Rick Smith Show. We're digging into the issues that affect your job, your family, your future. Join me weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network, because your voice deserves to be heard. That's The Rick Smith Show, Heard weeknights at 9 right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why Saved by the Skin.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
And good morning. It is 7:06. Nice to have you here up north on this Thursday morning, August 14th, 2025. Parker Olson is our producer down in Madison Studio A2. Brittany Merlot is off today. Stick around, though. Keep it on your local Civic Media station for your local forecast because it's nice now, but it's the weekend is looking a little dicey here. Rob says from Tigerton, looks like central Wisconsin could be in the bullseye for heavy rains this weekend. Yeah, one of the forecast models I saw basically had a front parking itself somewhere over Wisconsin with all-day rains Saturday and Sunday. So consider yourself on notice to keep an eye on that local forecast. From Tigerton, Rob says, good morning. Fog and mist and 60 degrees. Yesterday I had 4 yards to mow in Tigerton and then some work around the home. He, too, like Roger, is noting the sunrise and sunset, 6 a.m. This is the last sunrise before 6 a.m., and we're coming up, or no, almost the last sunrise before 6 a.m. We are now at the last sunsets after 8 p.m. as those days start getting a little bit shorter and shorter. So keep an eye on the weather and enjoy the days because they are not nearly as long as they used to be already. Coming up later this hour, we will be talking to Mike Van Someren, a candidate for state senate in the Milwaukee suburbs. It's a district that is heavily Republican, heavily went for Donald Trump last year. And yet that just doesn't mean what it used to mean. As you'll probably hear me say a few different times, when I was elected to the legislature back in 2006, that was a midterm for George W. Bush's second term. And there were a lot of angry folks about the way the Bush administration was handling things. And it was a Democratic sweep. I mean, winning some assembly seats that hadn't flipped in decades, in nearly 100 years in one or two instances. And next year is kind of shaping up that way at the rate the Trump folks are doing things right now as more people realize this guy's not doing anything that he said he was going to do, and in fact is hurting them. So Mike Van Someren is getting in the race for this particular state senate district, and we will visit with him in just a little while. In our 8 o'clock hour, we'll talk to Chad Holmes from our Civic Media station in Wausau. We'll talk to Sean O'Malley about your money and the markets, and we'll talk to Joe Zepecki, including a very interesting idea from one of the Republican candidates for governor, Bill Berrien. Basically, everybody should be packing a gun. Heck of a position to take in an era where we're concerned more than ever about mass shootings and school shootings and things like that. But we'll get into that. There is also, of course, the Up North News newsletters that you can get on the weekdays. And, of course, we've got a special Sunday morning edition as well that's all about Wisconsin politics. It also contains our question of the week. And this week, I ask, should politicians delete their social media accounts, their personal social media accounts, while they are in office? Either, yes, they should delete them, or no, they should not, because it is essentially a window into who they are as a person. And even if they're, not a good person, at least you learn it from their personal social media. Patricia here, who goes by the email handle Golf Granny, says, I could not decide between the two answers. It is good to see the true person who's tweeting, but that person also needs to be doing the job that they were elected to do. Here's one from an email handle Graham Cracker, who says, option B, delete the account. How can a grown man with relative importance be such a sleaze? That, of course, was the discussion of Derek Van Orden and the disgusting things that he keeps tweeting. Brent, with the email handle Skate a Bit, says, I would let him keep tweeting. It's how we know what kind of a person he really is. A small percentage of our population may agree with his values, but the majority of us do not. We need to make more people aware of who he really is. And that, of course, matches up nicely with my view that he has been skating on the publicity, the free publicity that he gets from local media. In fact, in last Sunday morning's newsletter, I make special note of how local media in the 3rd Congressional District loves to cover him when he goes on farm trips, like this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And each one of those in the newsletter is a separate link to a different story, a warm and fuzzy Derek Van Orden story. He's there with the calves. Aren't the calves cute? Aren't the cows adorable? And he talks about standing up for the American farmer and blah, 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 because he's got nothing to actually show for it, but he never gets asked about it. He does not get asked about, his embarrassing social media accounts riddled with insults. And the one or two times that he has been asked, I mean, then you see the real him. He just unloads on the reporter and says, oh, the reporter must be biased and the reporter is just a terrible person. To which I would say to the reporters, do not be intimidated by that. Keep asking those questions. Keep asking about the guy who said he was not going to cut Medicaid, that nobody who has earned the benefits will have their benefits cut, which is a lie, which is demonstrably false. Bring that up to him. Make him answer for that. Ask him why millionaires and billionaires should get their taxes cut disproportionately more than the middle-class people in his own district. Stop just doing the farm tours and at least pay more attention to the tweets, especially the ones off his personal account. So again, that's part of our question of the week. You can get that by signing up for our newsletter, upnorthnewswi.com. The Brewers were winners yesterday, and if we don't see Todd Alba later on, Parker, I believe he is already in line at a George Webb someplace waiting on that burger. The details haven't been announced yet, but I know Todd loves himself some free hamburgers.
I mean, who doesn't love a free hamburger? Come on.
So he will, he, like many others today, will be waiting to hear the details because, I mean, in case you've been living under a sports rock, the Brewers won their 12th game in a row yesterday, beating the Pittsburgh Pirates 12-5. That's double digits in score for the second straight game. The fourth time this month. I again remind you, the Brewers are undefeated in the month of August. We are almost halfway through the month. They had 12 hits yesterday. 10 of them were singles. They play that small ball game as well as anybody these days. And even when you know it's coming, they still execute it to perfection. So the George Webb hamburger chain in Southeast Wisconsin is going to put out details later today on how they're going to go about giving thousands upon thousands upon thousands of burgers out there.
Oh, I read earlier today, I don't remember where it is, but they literally ordered thousands of pounds.
Oh yeah,
of hamburgers.
Yeah, if you're one of those beef suppliers somewhere out there, you're just like, oh, go Brewers, because you just got a big order. Adam putting a comment in YouTube, which is nothing but hamburger emojis, just all the way across the street, which is great. Brewers are off today. They are on their way to Cincinnati to play the Reds. That will get going tomorrow. Pre-game begins at 5:05 tomorrow evening on several Civic Media stations. And as we mentioned, this is going to be quite the road trip. 3 in Cincinnati and then 5 games at Wrigley Field next week against the Cubs. And again, today is the last off day for the Brewers before they have a stretch of 18 days where they're going to play 19 games. So this is all good. Enjoy the moment. And I'm not trying to be a buzzkill. I'm just saying this next phase, this is going to be a character builder, shall we say?
As long as they make it through this stretch without picking up a couple of injuries, then I don't particularly care how they play during this stretch.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at. And also, go ahead.
I was going to say they're looking pretty good for making the postseason at this point.
Yes.
I mean, they and the Cubs are still jockeying back and forth. Right now, the Brewers are up 7 or 7.5 in the National League Central.
7.5.
But there's the Cubs aren't stinking up the joint. Is what I'm trying to say here.
No, the Cubs had a little bit of misfortune, and I do want to say last night, really, really sad scene up in Toronto with the Cubs. They had a player who had it was his first game back from the 60-day IL.
Oh.
And I think he hyperextended his knee running out to first base. So really a little bit of misfortune there for the Cubs. Feel bad about that.
Tony says, you mean the lowly Cubs? Perhaps. But again, let's not tempt the baseball gods, shall we? But of course, the Brewers are hot. It's the hottest ticket in town, which is why tomorrow you should really try to get free tickets. 4 free tickets that we'll be giving out as part of Free Ticket Friday. You get the Civic Media app. Listen for the keywords throughout the day, text them in through the app, and be in a statewide drawing for Brewers tickets to a game next week. We will tell you which game, and we will tell you the keyword tomorrow. So be paying attention there. And Mike Clemens, who is joining us tomorrow, he always joins us Friday mornings at 8:30. He wants you to know that he's in Indianapolis right now covering the Packers. The Packers have a joint practice with the Indianapolis Colts this afternoon, and then a preseason game Saturday at noon at Lucas Oil Field. So that's where Mike Clemens has been reporting from, which, again, I know I heard one of the sound bites earlier that the thing they like about the preseason games is that it's not, just soft contact drills. There's actually like a little bit more unpredictability so that you get a feel for real game conditions. But to what you said about that Cubs player earlier, the potential for injuries increases as well. And I'm sure that terrifies or depresses every NFL coach that's out there when they do this.
Oh, yeah. Jordan Love, even. How lucky are we that he only had a little, tiny surgery is in the grand scheme of things.
Just a little tiny surgery. That's all.
The little stitches is all.
Yeah. Let's see. From the Cap Times newspaper in Madison, the Cap Times Idea Fest lineup has been announced, and it includes Governor Tony Evers will be part of it, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. There's Stacey Abrams from Georgia, journalist Jennifer Rubin, columnist Maureen Dowd from the New York Times, Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson, and more. It's kind of the Cap Times calls it their big September Thought Festival. And it will now run, they've announced, from Monday, September 8th through Saturday, September 13th. And so you can head over to captimes.com to learn more. I like the idea of an idea fest, of, really talking about best practices, what works, what doesn't work, which takes us to Bill Berrien. And we'll talk more about this in our next hour with Joe Zepecki. But from Molly Beck in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Whitefish Bay manufacturing CEO and candidate for governor Bill Berrien says he supports eliminating state permit requirements for firearm owners who want to carry guns in concealed fashion. Berrien says, I believe that every American is granted a carry permit and that it's in the form of the Second Amendment. We need to get back to personal responsibility and freedom. And again, he gives us the bunk that the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Bill Berrien, we recently had another shooting on a military base loaded with guns, and it didn't stop somebody there. You think more guns in school are going to be the answer? Go ahead and put that out there, buddy. We'll talk more about that with Joe Zepecki. We'll have more headlines coming up. And then Mike Van Someren, a candidate for state senate. A local update is next for some of you. Live from the heart of America's up north from Lake Wissota, I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Studio.
Well, I need to talk to you about doing a commercial.
Oh, okay. Well, to get a commercial on the air here, you just go down to the sales department. It's right next to the bathroom.
I don't think you understand.
Oh, I understand plenty. You salespeople drink a lot of coffee. That's why the bathroom's right there.
Right, but I need to have you make a commercial about commercials.
Wait. A commercial about a commercial? I don't follow.
I want to tell potential business owners out there how to contact me to get a commercial on WMDX.
Okay. I get it. Okay, let's come up with something. Let's see. Business folks can contact you directly, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
What's the email, huh?
Okay, so it's sales@WMDXradio.com.
Oh, wait. Run that by me again.
Sales@WMDXradio.com. So we could put all that together and get into a commercial, get on the air soon?
Arthur, my friend, I think we just did.
Advertise on WMDX Radio. Email Arthur, sales@WMDXradio.com.
Shop Furlough Mattresses Mega Mattress Sale. Get additional savings on top of our factory direct pricing. That's double the savings on your new mattress. Plus, save even more when you upgrade to an adjustable base. At Furlough, all of our mattresses are locally crafted and backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee. So hurry in and get savings on top of savings during Furlough's Mega Mattress Sale. Wake up. Sleep better. Furlough.
At Hazelden Betty Ford, treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns. It's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand. We're here for you with new tools when life breaks down. Discover your path to better mental health at hazeldenbettyford.org/Wisconsin.
Hey, guess what? Up North News is now on social media on Blue Sky. Go over to Blue Sky and search for Up North News WI. You can say that with pretty much all of the social media accounts out there. Just search for Up North News WI, and you're likely to find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and yeah, still Twitter. Dumpster fire though it may be, we are there. So if you are still doing your doom scrolling there, we totally understand. Let's see, from Alicia, when talking about a shooting on a military base, please understand that military bases are not loaded with guns. Very few people on base are authorized to carry a firearm on base. All personal firearms are required to be in the armory. I completely understand that, Alicia. My point still remains. Those are also the closest places to go get a gun. And if mass shootings can happen there, they can happen anywhere. Well, this whole bunk about, well, we just need more guards. We need more police officers in school. Look at that shooting in Manhattan. Was it last week or the week before? Who was the first one killed? The security guard, the off-duty cop who was there. That's not something you can stop. I don't know if folks understand this. Bullets, they're really fast. And if the shooter is coming up on a situation and nobody is expecting a shooter to come up on a situation, they're going to get the first shots fired off. So if they've got a magazine that is monstrously big, or they're carrying multiple weapons, because in this country, God knows you can get multiple weapons faster than you can drop a hat, well, then we're going to continue to have a problem until we do something about, catch me carefully here, the guns. It's still the guns. Don't tell me it's mental health, and then don't do anything about, mental health programs, for example. Don't tell me it's about having more police while you're then running these austerity budgets that force local governments to make terrible decisions about hiring more officers and getting them more weapons of war versus providing the basic services that would keep people from, say, snapping and becoming mass shooters. It's still the guns. And I don't know that we're going to handle this in my lifetime, but that doesn't make it any less true that is exactly what we should still be working toward. End of rant. because we've got to make a pivot, a hard pivot here, Parker. This is the Taylor Swift portion of the program.
My God, that was wow. Okay, that's a pivot.
It is because I can't.
Time for T Swizzle. Huh?
What's that?
Time for T Swizzle.
Time for T Swizzle. She showed up on her boyfriend's podcast, which is called The New Heights. It's Travis and Jason Kelsey. And so she appeared on there with Travis and with Jason to talk about her new album. And she knows, we talked about this yesterday, how to build up hype for the album. So the Associated Press, which is, of course, a very, very stoic, a very long, proud institution of journalism.
They're the standard.
Yeah, they're the standard. And one of their big stories is, here's every major update from Taylor Swift's first appearance on the Kelsey's New Heights podcast. So here's everything they say you need to know. So who am I not to pass it along to you? So Swift announced the new album is called Life of a Showgirl. And so she showed off the album cover in there. If you're wondering, how does she get this done? She talked about it. She said basically when she was on the European leg of the Eras tour, she would, between dates, fly back to a place in Sweden with producers Max Martin and Shellback, and they would work on the album. The entire album was completed in between dates of her European tour. Is it going to be a bunch of, slow, tortured music? No, because she's got this boyfriend, Travis Kelsey, who appears to be a pretty cool guy. Near as I can tell, wouldn't you say?
I think so. He's okay at his job. Yeah.
So what will this album be? She says, bangers. She says they're not going to be like the Tortured Poets department. And she also says there's not going to be a surprise double album. She says this is going to be a lot more upbeat because she says life is more upbeat. In other words, she's got somebody that makes her happy.
Good for her.
That's great. She says the album's goal is infectious melodies and vivid lyrics. The album cover has her in the bathtub because she says that's how I end every day. She also shared a little bit of personal information about her parents. Her dad recently had quintuple bypass surgery. Her mom got a new knee. So she describes this as, this is the summer of my parental upgrade, which is pretty good. I mean, who couldn't use bionic parents, And she also, I like this line. She said she has spent a lot of time in Florida with Travis Kelsey and says, our jobs are actually very similar. Our jobs are to entertain people for 3 hours in NFL stadiums. I think that's fair,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And then finally, she talked about her hobbies, which include baking, and her current obsession is making sourdough bread, especially variations like blueberry lemon, cinnamon swirl, and funfetti.
Oh,
funfetti.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony on YouTube apparently a few minutes ago put, you left out the entire conversation about sourdough bread, and they just puts up, I spoke too soon. Nope, the sourdough. I mean, it's everything that you want to know about it because of her appearance, which, by the way, both Travis Kelsey and brother Jason, and then what is Jason's wife's name? Casey, right? Casey Kelsey?
I believe so. Yeah, that sounds right.
Is she funny? I love her. Now, again, I have never seen the New Heights podcast by the brothers, and I've never seen Not Gonna Lie, the podcast by Kelsey, Ms. Kelsey. But again, thanks to my doom scrolling on YouTube, I feel like I've seen all the good parts, and they're all good. So
that's why. Yeah, that's what social media is for.
Remember how you said we couldn't have a meeting yesterday because of the Brewers game?
Yeah.
We had another teammate who couldn't because she was waiting for the podcast to download so she could watch all these folks. That's what kind of a productive day we had around here yesterday, folks, in case you're wondering behind the scenes.
We're putting out a bad message about our productivity here.
We will be much more productive with Senate candidate Mike Van Someren coming up next. You're up north. Kylie. Yes, Kylie. Thank you, Tony. Now, does that go up, or do you pot that down before the break?
I can. It goes out.
Okay, good. Thank you, Tony.
Sometimes I wish I could pot it down, but I usually
No. I just assume it's live. Let's see. Mike was great with Maggie yesterday. Good. She offered to let him guest host the show. Oh, well, if Maggie says Mike was great, then I guess he must be great. Oh, look, here he is now. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Pat. How are you?
Good. Good to have you here. So, whoops, sorry, hit the wrong button. There you go. Just checking out the screen. So Maggie was good with you yesterday. All right.
Yeah, it went great.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Let's see. Just getting all my ducks in a row here. Anything that got missed yesterday that you want to emphasize again today, or reemphasize, as the case may be?
No, I think my message is economics, right? Like just getting more people with more money and not hating on business at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So, no, she did a great job of that, and we hit on a bunch of different things. So it was great.
See, Tony says they both agreed billionaires deserve all of their tax cuts.
Nope.
I'm going to guess that's some of Tony's sarcasm there. So, all right. All right. Well, I think you're all good to go here. And
Perfect.
So we will be back at 7:35. I'll tuck you back in the waiting room and see you in a bit.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Yep.
Before the winter arrives.
What does life on the cutting edge mean to Riley LaPinka?
Making hay has changed so much now with Harvextra alfalfa. You don't have to be tied down to a certain cutting window. That saves us a lot of headache, a lot of cost, wear and tear on machinery, you name it. It just cuts all that down.
Harvextra alfalfa with Roundup Ready technology gives you an extra edge when it comes to cutting flexibility. Hear more of Riley's story at harvextra.com.
When hot weather strikes your cattle, milk production drops and feed intakes decrease. Summer heat also impacts the quality of your herd's reproduction. Protect your cows and grow your bottom line. Add BioVet's Bovine Gold Light to your cow's daily ration. Bovine Gold Light keeps the herd hydrated, maintains milk production, and keeps your breeding program in check. Learn more about Bovine Gold Light at bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
And the National FFA organization.
For whatever reason, I always think it reminds me of the Hot Pockets commercials. It's like innovation, Hot Pockets.
Okay, I hadn't made that connection, but they do a version of it where the lyrics. I mean, Greg and I just went off on it. It was just such made up lyrics that they put on there. So I'm glad they've changed things a little bit.
That's just a quick update on what's happening in food news for a Thursday. I'm Pam Yankee.
As Wisconsin is cheering on the Brew Crew. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Mostly sunny today. Our high right around 82 this afternoon. Tonight, it will be mostly clear with a low dropping into the low to mid 60s. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and even warmer with a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 59.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
What is your feeling about Donald Trump basically taking over law enforcement in Washington, D.C.? Joe from Madison, what you got for us?
We're going to be paying for this. At the same time, we're taking cuts in healthcare, education, transportation, you name it, we're taking cuts. It's an absolute waste of money. Crime is down. It's a 30-year low in Washington, D.C. So instead of dissing that city and lying about what they've done, how about looking at how they've succeeded?
The award-winning Maggie Dawn Show, weekday afternoons from 4 until 6. Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel.
Public schools and private schools, when the people who are sitting to the left and to the right of me in classes, and when the professors and the TAs and the staff
So, as I've mentioned before, we're on social media now, including Blue Sky, Up North News WI. And Up North News WI is where you find us in most places on social media. Somebody didn't get the instruction sheet for TikTok. So on TikTok, it's simply Up North News, but every place else is Up North News WI. I say that because I believe people should be rewarded when they have consistency in their handles, which takes us to Mike Van Someren, our next guest, who's a candidate for Wisconsin's 33rd State Senate District, whose website is MikeVanSomeren.com, and I'll spell that for you in a bit. But at Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and Blue Sky, you can find him at MVS for Mike Van Someren, MVSFOR for WI, MVS for WI. The man knows his social media. He's an excellent writer and hoping to be an excellent candidate in the 33rd State Senate District. Mike Van Someren, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here. And again, for folks that were, there is going to be a quiz. Mike Van Someren, it's VAN, and of course, Someren is SOMEREN, SOMEREN, MikeVanSomeren.com. Mike, are you in Delafield?
I am in Delafield today. I'm actually working in my office downtown Milwaukee, though.
Okay. And you are challenging Republican Senator Chris Kapenga in the 33rd Senate District. Let's talk about what that district is, where it is, and then we'll get into your candidacy. So
Sure.
where are people looking to maybe vote for you?
So it's all of Heartland, the western edge of Waukesha. It goes all the way up to Hartford in Washington County, and then Judson to Jefferson County just a little bit. All of the western, basically the western half of Waukesha County, and then into Washington County and just a little bit into Jefferson County.
Okay. So let's get the Mike Van Someren story. Tell us how you came to be. I'll start just by saying, how did a boy from Somerset, way out in western Wisconsin, end up where you are today?
Football, honestly. Okay. My background is my dad's a truck driver. My mom was an office manager / secretary, and blue collar, working class roots. I was huge as a child, 6 feet tall in 4th grade. And so coaches found me and said, you need to play sports. I said, okay. Did well in football and had the opportunity to go play for Wisconsin. Coach Barry Alvarez, one of the great coaches and just a great all-around guy. Played for Brett Bielema as well. Backed up some amazing people. I never quite cracked the starting lineup at Wisconsin, but I was traveling as a walk-on. And from there, I went to Marquette University Law School and graduated, did very well in law school, and came out and started practicing law. And around the time COVID hit, I decided that things just weren't going right. And so I decided to throw my hat in the ring in 2022 in a run for Congress, which wasn't successful, but I learned a lot. And, one thing you learn in sports is you're not going to win every game. And so now I'm running again after going to a listening session or two of Chris Kapenga and not being overly impressed with the way that he approaches things and basically tells people, this is what I believe, and so I'm not going to hear you. I'm not going to help you. And that to me just isn't the job of a representative. It's very similar to the job of a lawyer. My job is not to tell somebody you can't do something. It's to tell them how we could possibly do something that might look different than they envisioned, but it's actually it will still accomplish the same things.
Well, let's talk about those things you want to accomplish then and lay out what your top priorities are if you should be elected to the state Senate.
Sure. My top priorities are raising wages, policies that we can implement to raise wages, because I'm a firm believer that it's not just altruistic or moral backing to say we want to raise people's wages. We want people to be more comfortable. It's also economic. Businesses do well when there are more people with more money because then they can buy the stuff. I mean, that's what built the middle class, was a secure working class of people that had enough money to spend. And I would like us to try and get back to that. I also want to try and cut down some of our expenses, particularly on the property tax front. Homeowners should be secure that when they buy a home, they'll be able to afford the taxes that pay for all the services. And every town shouldn't be an island. It should be part of a larger team, which is the state. And the state is part of a larger team, which is our country. That's, as a team sport athlete for many years of my life, I've always known that being a part of a team doesn't mean I have to score the touchdown, but it means I'm part of every touchdown that's scored, using a football metaphor, right? So we can do things to help alleviate those property tax concerns, things like reworking the shared revenue model or taking care of the dark store loophole and things like that. that will actually help alleviate some of the pressure on commercial, but also mostly residential people that own homes and are just trying to get by. I also want to fund our public education system, fully fund it. And, I'm not against private schools. So if private schools are going to get public money, well, then they're going to have all the same strings that the public schools have, because we need to have an apples to apples comparison. And then finally, I want transparency. I'm so tired of things being passed in the dead of night. I'm so tired of people not knowing what's going on and feeling like their elected representatives are almost vampirish, right? Because they don't do anything except in the dead of night, and then they go and hide in their offices during the day. We can't have that. And so I want to bring a level of transparency and accountability. And, if I get into office, that would be great. I plan to implement all of these things myself, and hopefully we can spark some sort of change.
We're talking to Mike Van Someren, a candidate for Wisconsin State Senate in the 33rd Senate District in the Milwaukee suburbs. And you put that all in an extremely positive way for folks that need the translation from the way that I put it. I liked that you mentioned that there should be teamwork, because when it comes to property taxes, we're living the classic example of not teamwork, where a legislature passes the buck, which is the opposite of teamwork, passes the buck to the local school districts and says, well, we're not going to fully fund you. You need to raise property taxes because, we want you to look like the bad guys. And it absolutely, you see that near revolt in homeowners about the way that their property tax bills are growing, because you've got a lazy legislature that won't hold up their end of the teamwork deal.
Yeah. I mean, we've been sitting on billions of dollars in excess funds, and we have a legislature that wants to do a tax cut, but those funds are a one-time. They were COVID funds. They are not funds that we're expecting to collect over and over and over again. And they want to put us in a structural deficit, something that we heard about a lot under Scott Walker, and how, by putting us in a structural deficit, that gives them an excuse to cut more services. And again, a lot of people think that Democrats want to just give. And that's just simply not the case. There is a balance to be found, and there is some give and take. It's just like a team. I was an offensive lineman. I would have loved to score a touchdown, but that was never going to happen. But I was part of every touchdown run and then part of every touchdown pass, whether I ever crossed the end zone or not.
Mike Van Someren is our guest. He's a candidate for Wisconsin State Senate in a district that is, in traditional times, overwhelmingly Republican. According to Dan Schaefer here, President Trump took that district by 34 points. But I know, as I reminded folks earlier in the broadcast, that there are these years where pendulums swing. The year that I got elected to the state Senate, 2006, was a year unlike any other for Democrats. There was a lot of dissatisfaction out there with, the Bush administration, with the war in Iraq, with the way the economy was going. And to me, it seems 20 years later, those same indications are out there that, frankly, no Republican candidate, no Republican incumbent should feel any sense of complacency out there. It just feels like there's something out there in electorate, and I'm wondering what you're hearing in your part of the state.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, look, yes, I'm running as a Democrat. I'm not going to run from that, but I am running to represent all people, because as somebody who is now a lawyer, but most of my friends are working class guys, construction workers, things like that. I understand where they're coming from, and I understand the rhetoric coming out of both sides. And my rhetoric is going to be very simple. If you're working day in and day out, you should be able to raise your family. That full stop. You should be able to afford a home, whether that's a nicer apartment or being able to save up for a single family home, whatever you want to do. You should be able to do that if you're working full time. You should not have to work multiple jobs and still be treading water. And there are things that we can do to help fix that.
And let's get into that, especially when it comes to housing and affordability, because you have experience serving on boards, including Habitat for Humanity of Waukesha County and others. So talk about some of your other community involvement.
Yeah, so currently I'm not on any boards because of all the other things I've been doing, but I have served on a number of boards from my church's finance committee. So I headed up the finance committee at Wauwatosa Presbyterian. I also served on various boards, including Artworks for Milwaukee in the past, and Habitat for Humanity of Waukesha County. And, all of that, there's all these charities trying to do good work. and there's money out there, but they're focused. A lot of these organizations are focusing on the lowest income people, and quite frankly, there are people in the middle that are struggling too, and that's where the state needs to step in, because the people that need help, that are just barely getting by, most of them are going to have to hit rock bottom before they're going to qualify for a lot of these charitable organizations. And so we need to make sure that we don't leave the middle behind.
And so when you see a legislature that has been, like you said, leaving billions on the table to write tax cuts that are skewed heavily toward, the upper brackets, what I'm hearing you say is it's not that there isn't room for tax relief out there, but that it should be a more balanced approach.
Yes. Well, and let's not forget something. In progressive taxation, people tend to think that if you cut the top, if you make income over, let's say, $300,000, and that puts you in the top tax bracket, that all of your income is going to be taxed at that top tax bracket. That's not the case. So when you cut taxes at the lower levels and you leave the higher level intact, that's still a tax cut for everybody, because people that are making that upper income tax bracket money, they're paying taxes all the way up the chain, right? So they get a tax break. They get the same tax break that the rest of us get until they earn more money. And then that tax break can either be larger because you made a big cut at the top, or it can be smaller because you either didn't cut or you made a smaller cut at the top.
So when you run next year, and you'll be running, as a Democrat in this state Senate district, there will also be an open race for governor, with Governor Evers not running for a third term. Certainly there'll be other spotlight races around the state, but the governor's race is going to get the lion's share of attention. So what will you be telling folks about your own particular race when there's also an open governor's seat, about, the importance of whether we're going to get a new governor regardless? What do you think would be best for your district and for your state with a new governor?
Somebody that wants to be part of a team. And right now, I don't see any of the Republican candidates that want to be part of a team. They want unitary control of the government. I think that Governor Evers has done a good job in many, many ways. He has done a good job of working with a Republican legislature and doing what he can to help more people than, quite frankly, what I'm seeing them trying to do. Now, at the same time, I'm not going to be somebody that's going to sit there and just rubber stamp anything a Democratic governor is going to do. And I don't know of any other Democratic candidates or incumbents that would do the same thing. That I can't say for the Republican Party. I've seen a lot more rubber stamping on their end, and I don't think that's good for government. I think that people elect the legislature to provide their own ideas and their own way of doing things, and that's how the sausage gets made.
Yeah, if only we could see that in plenty of places, including Congress as well, but certainly the legislature. Mike Van Someren is running in the state Senate. MikeVanSomeren.com and MVS4WI at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Twitter. Mike, great to meet you. Thank you so much. We appreciate the campaign update.
Great meeting you, and thank you very much.
Oh, you are very welcome. We will continue with a local update for some of you, and then a very busy second hour with Chad Holmes and Joe Zepecki and Sean O'Malley. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, we're in the break.
Great.
All good. Mike, that was awesome. Thank you so
Thank you very
much. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Games on 14 large screen TVs. Join meat and jersey raffles at halftime and enjoy half-price wings and beer bucket specials. And the Lazy Elf Lounge is a great place for lunch with daily specials, soup made from scratch, and fast, friendly service. The Lazy Elf Lounge, 1617 North Stoughton Road in Madison. Find specials, menus, and more at LazyElfLounge.com.
At Chance Design Build, we provide remodeling done well with love. Our commitments extend beyond our workplace and your home to support our community. We judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, and we believe all humans deserve quality, publicly funded education, childcare, and health care. But what do you believe in? At Chance Design Build, we believe every person must have the opportunity to thrive. If you're thinking about remodeling your home, go to chancedesignbuild.com to learn more about our commitments to you, your home, and our community.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government buy-in for the people. New Hampshire Governor Kelly Ayotte signed 3 election bills August 1st. One, a positive reform requiring handicapped accessible voting machines in all towns. The others, however, add barriers to disabled, elderly, and other mail-in absentee voters. House Bill 67 requires voting machines for the visually impaired be made available by the state to all voting precincts. The legislation is a response to 2024 challenges under the Americans with Disabilities Act and is effective beginning in 2026. But Ayotte also signed 2 bills adding barriers for vulnerable voters. She signed SB 218, requiring copies of proof of domicile and age and a birth certificate, passport, or naturalization papers when registering by mail. Such requirements disproportionately impact the elderly and disabled who may not have ready access to the documents or a means of copying them. Even though all those documents would then be on file, another bill, SB 287, requires a copy of ID or notarized affidavit each time an absentee voter applies for an absentee ballot. In a statement, the New Hampshire Campaign for Voting Rights wrote, Governor Ayotte just chose to make it harder for thousands of Granite Staters, especially our most vulnerable, to vote, all without solving a single real problem. We have the text of the bills and more at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
Hey, Wisconsin, it's construction season, and the Wisconsin DOT wants to help you safely
This is normally the part of the program where we would hear from Todd Alba from the conveniently named Todd Alba Show, weekday afternoons, 2 to 4, across the Civic Media Radio Network. I like to joke that Todd's probably already standing in line someplace at a George Webb for his free hamburger. I think he actually has something like a dentist appointment or something like that. But, you know, when the reality is boring, you go with the feature, right? And, you know, the feature would be, how great would it be if you could report from a George Webb right now?
You know what? That would be a great report. I think we should do that.
I would. And in the spirit of Les Nessman from WKRP, I'd like to have him calling it, you know, as the helicopter flies overhead and rains burgers down upon the population, or some other theater of the mind that we could do with this.
That would be fantastic.
We could have a lot of fun with a hamburger drop from a helicopter.
Some little parachutes.
You know, there's so many people that have never seen WKRP in Cincinnati, but they have seen that. They have seen the turkey drop, Parker pointing to himself as well. And one of the best parts, of course, is as the helicopter's coming in and Les is, and you don't see Les, you just see the rest of the gang in the radio booth. He says, and the helicopter is pulling a banner. It says WKR. Like he doesn't, and the whole station crew is just like exasperated, and then of course the turkey comes raining down. But
one of my favorite parts of that clip is, I assume it's later on in the episode, is that
when they come back in at the end.
He comes back in and he's covered in feathers.
And Arthur Carlson, the station manager, gives that immortal line, "As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly." And yeah, maybe not when you drop them from a helicopter. So we're just giving you the idea, George Webb, that if you want to fly over with a helicopter and drop a few hamburgers, they don't make as big a splash as, say, dropping turkey.
It won't be as much of a bomb.
It won't be as much of a bomb. Exactly. Thank you very much. In looking at what happened over last weekend, the flash flooding in Milwaukee, I was drawn to an article from Milwaukee Magazine from earlier this year, back in February, in fact. And in talking about this article, I do not in any way want to say that any of the flash flooding that occurred is the fault of any of the victims. That's not what the point about this is at all. But it is about urban planning and what cities did over generations when it came to their rivers. and their creeks and their streams and things like that. And I think I may have mentioned before that, again, going back more than 30 years, when my wife was attending medical school in Milwaukee, I was working for the radio station up in West Bend, then known as WBKV. And it was this relatively new radical concept that I was covering. And that was basically looking at the Milwaukee River again, because it was such an afterthought for decades. Even if it wasn't being used as a dumping ground anymore, it just wasn't as prevalent. It wasn't integrated into, the cities and the communities that were along the way. And this was happening in other rivers as well. And look, the work is far from over. But if you go to downtown Milwaukee now, compared to back then, you see that the rivers there, the Milwaukee, the Kinnickinnic, the Root, they are coming to life much more than they were back when they were turned into concrete channels or even put underground. And it turns out that was the case with State Fair Park in West Allis, something that I didn't know until the flooding this weekend. And in fact, I believe it was Sam Kuffel's social media post that got a lot of attention. One of those old-timey maps of State Fair Park way back in the day with a creek running through it, Honey Creek. And according to this Milwaukee Magazine article from 6 months ago, it rises up in suburban Greenfield. Now it goes through a concrete channel to the north, then plunges underground for 2 miles, including the entire length of State Fair Park in West Allis, then reemerges along a wooded parkway to meet the Menominee River somewhere near downtown Wauwatosa. And while it is buried today, the magazine notes, that segment was once a prized amenity of State Fair Park. And just imagine this lovely little creek that was running through. However, because Honey Creek would jump its banks every so often with too much rain or too much snow, in the Depression, federally funded relief workers, this was one of their jobs programs, was to deepen and flood-proof Honey Creek. But as we've learned since that time, the work that you do that is said to be flood-proofing where you are only makes the flooding problem worse, because now you've created this channel that only speeds up the water as it gets further down. So unless you're prepared to turn every river and creek into a concrete channel, you're just creating a problem somewhere else. And so in the early 1960s, it went from being a concrete line channel to simply being routed underground, and so that there could be more development at State Fair Park. Well, what we've certainly learned since then is that you can bury a river or a creek, but the geography is still what it is. You're still in that lower lying area. And when it floods too much to run through an underground channel, it's still going to go where it's going to go, but above ground. And that's what we're seeing at State Fair Park. Now, what has happened since then, as I've noted, is that more of these rivers, streams, creeks are being brought back to more of a natural state. And instead of trying to live right on top of it, that you actually provide a buffer zone. I recall working in the legislature to buy properties that were in floodplains so that we wouldn't have to keep paying to rebuild when there was flood damage. Now, I'm not saying we're going to move State Fair Park, but I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line, Honey Creek doesn't once again flow through State Fair Park, and you simply mitigate the occasional flooding that's going to happen now and then and bring State Fair Park back to nature. Coming up in our next hour, we'll talk to Chad Holmes from our civic media station in Wausau. We'll talk to Joe Zepecki. We'll talk to Sean O'Malley about your money and the markets. That's all coming up after the 8 o'clock news. First, a reminder, you can sign up for our newsletters over at upnorthnewswi.com. Click subscribe in the top banner. I'm Pat Kreitlow on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Madison's home for real news and great conversation. A civic media station.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. More National Guard troops arrived on the National Mall overnight. Some protesters showing up yelling, other protesters helping drivers avoid ICE traffic checkpoints that have been set up around Washington, D.C. President Trump gearing up for the big summit with Russian President Putin. President Zelensky saying a peace deal in Ukraine could not be agreed upon without Ukrainian input. International relations expert Tom Karako on Zelensky's statement that Ukraine will give up no land without additional security guarantees.
The security guarantee is going to be power. It's going to be military capability and building up of Ukraine to kind of preclude this from happening again, because it will happen again.
A passenger on board a Breeze Airways flight allegedly seen and heard on video threatening the flight crew and other passengers. Those on board say he was drunk, waving a skateboard around. The flight was diverted to Grand Junction, Colorado, where police were waiting to take him into custody. This is ABC News.
As Wisconsin is hitting the road on your Harley. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The Monroe Street Library is back open. The storms over the weekend caused a water main break there. It was closed Monday and Tuesday for repairs. It's now open again to patrons. Meanwhile, people in the Milwaukee area have spent all week dealing with the flooding aftermath, whether it's at their local river or in their own basements. Stuart J. Waddles reports.
Every community impacted is doing things a little differently when it comes to helping clear away flood-damaged items. Most have drop-off sites with increased hours of operations. The city of Milwaukee is among those helping with the drop-off. They're also assisting with the pickup.
In addition to the drop-off centers, the special curbside bulk pickup is ongoing throughout the city. If you place bulk items at your regular garbage collection point, we will, and you call in, we will be able to pick those up. We understand there are some stuff that has been out there for 2 days already. We are trying to prioritize the city in the hardest hit areas. I've had many conversations with our elected officials on folks that are adjacent to waterways that have extreme damage. We're talking about hundreds of homes and stretches. We're trying to focus on those areas first.
Gerald Kruschke heads up the Milwaukee Department of Public Works. He said during a press conference that they're trying to move people quickly through their drop-off site.
Because we've seen that the public is really interested, we're deciding to extend our drop-off center hours until 6 p.m. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We generally close at 3, but we're trying to give those folks who work first shift an opportunity to access our drop-off centers. To give them a little more flexibility, so it's an extra 3 hours every day.
Leaders everywhere say it's important to report damage to properly assess the situation for recovery efforts. You can do that by calling 211.
Governor Tony Evers declared a state of emergency, so now the federal government may step in. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson, 92.7 WMDX News.
The Packers are in Indy. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports here in Indianapolis, where the Packers have a joint practice against the Colts before Saturday's game at noon. What are the benefits? I asked tight end Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, it's just another opportunity to go out there and hit someone that's not in green and gold. That's the way I look at it. This would be my 4th joint practice because I was on the PUP still from the Broncos last year. I'm just eager. I enjoy joint practices. I'm always try to keep it clean. There's always some kind of tussle. But that's not really what we're there for. We're there to get some looks, practice against some looks that are unscouted. They got a new defensive coordinator, so it'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Baseball, the Brewers winning their 12th in a row, 12-5 over the Pirates in front of another sellout crowd of over 40,000 people. Sal Frelick.
It's unbelievable. Midweek games, aren't usually packed out like that. They work hard and pay for tickets to come watch us play. That, it really does mean the world to us.
Brewers outfielder Sal Frelick with sports. I'm Mike Clemens.
As Wisconsin is cheering on Bucky Badger. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Mostly sunny today. Our high right around 82 this afternoon. Tonight, it will be mostly clear with a low dropping into the low to mid 60s. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and even warmer with a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 61.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Why is cookie dough in everything now? It was fun when you were a kid and actually ate the cookie dough, but in ice cream, it's just it's like an interruption for the gorgeous texture that is cold cream ice cream. And then, and here's this uncooked egg and whatever it is. There's a fudge ribbon swirl, awesome. Vanilla ice cream, great. Peanut butter cups, great. Nuts, awesome. Cookie dough, barf.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the Civic Media app.
where working people come to talk. It's The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network. Join me for an honest approach to the issues American working families care about. No talking points, no focus groups. Get ready for a heavy dose of democracy.
Live across Wisconsin on Civic Media, you're listening to Mornings with Pat Kreitlow, powered by Up North News. Now, from our Lake Wissota studio, here is the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Kreitlow.
Thank you, Don Rue. It is 8:06 on this Thursday morning, August 14th. Good morning. Nice to have you back here up north. Live from Lake Wissota, all across the Civic Media Radio Network. Down in Madison, Parker Olson is producing this shindig in Madison Studio A2. Chad Holmes will be along in just a sec. We'll be talking to Sean O'Malley in a little bit about your money in the markets. Joe Zepecki will join us. We'll talk about Bill Berrien's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad idea for what to do about concealed weapons in Wisconsin. That and more, all coming up along the way. And, of course, if you'd like to join us with your questions or comments, get over to that Civic Media app and use the text feature to send us a message, or use the voice note feature and record us a little voice note as well that we can listen to and perhaps play back on air a little bit later on as well. It's a busy day, as always, coming up across the Civic Media Radio Network. Matt Nair on Air follows us here from 9 to 11. Former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel joins Jane and Greg at 9:35. And then at 10:35, Paul Noonan, sports writer for the Acme Packing Company. On the Todd Alba Show at 2:35, John Miskowski, director of Wisconsin Public Television, and Sarah Ashworth, director of Wisconsin Public Radio, on the future of those outlets after the pending closure of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And on the Maggie Dawn Show from 4 until 6, we've got Nathan Hodek from the Office of the Commissioner of Insurance talking about Wisconsin flood insurance and what homeowners and renters need to know. And then at 4:30, Chandler Hill from the Center for American Progress will talk about crime data for 2024, numbers that were released just last week, and how it kind of gives up the goose on what exactly Donald Trump is trying to get accomplished in Washington, D.C. So much to cover here across the Civic Media Radio Network. And, of course, if you're listening up in the Wausau area at 98.9 WXCO for those local updates, you're going to hear the one, the only, Chad Holmes, who joins us now to talk about stories he's following up there, and maybe sports, too, because that's what he does. Chad Holmes, good morning.
Good morning. Pat Kreitlow.
Where's your burger? Did anybody make you a burger this morning for the Brewers' 12th win in a row?
We don't have George Webb around here.
No, we don't. We don't have him up here in the Chippewa Valley either. I thought somebody might try to piggyback on the publicity because, I mean, I saw an article this morning about the George Webb's PR people. They're like, you can't buy this kind of publicity.
No.
You know? All you had to do is make a prediction decades ago and let it ride.
I mean, this was, again, I believe this was back in the Braves days when they were in Milwaukee.
It was even pre-Braves when it was just a minor league team of the American Association. So, yeah, this goes way back.
The Milwaukee Brewers of the American Association.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, you know your sports stuff. So,
did you know that the Milwaukee Brewers were a major league team, that they are now the Baltimore Orioles?
I did know that, as a matter
of
fact.
I knew you can throw. They used to be the Brewers, and they're the St. Louis Browns, and now the Baltimore Orioles. So
I
people
do.
learn here.
I totally nerd out on that kind of franchise history.
I know.
You know, so the 12 in a row is cool. But I would not have been surprised, and here's why. I'm going to be slightly supernatural here. I can just envision Bob Uecker when we got to the 11-game win streak originally, and then everybody's all anticipating, the free burgers, and then they lost that 12th game, and you can just envision you going, ha, fooled you. Okay, I can't. Here's 12. Here's an actual 12-game winning streak. It's got that Uecker magic all over it.
It is just insane what this team is doing. I don't know if I said this to you. I said it to somebody on the show. Uh, you know, you obviously have been probably following me a little longer than I have, but I've been following the Brewers for almost 50 years, and there's never been a team like this one.
No.
Because when they've had really good teams in the past, I think there was a little bit of an expectation, or that you could see it coming in some way. But when you started this year off with the way it, number one, they were just a little bit, you would call it thinner.
Yes.
I mean, you lose Willie Adames and stuff like that. And then you start the year off just getting pelted by the Yankees the first weekend, and it just feels like, well, maybe a 500 record and maybe a reload this year.
Mm-hmm.
For this to happen, to have an 11-game win streak and a 12-game win streak within basically a month, and to be just, not pulling a secretariat when it comes to the Cubs right now. I mean, it's like the Belmont Stakes right now. It's
like that. I like that
5
analogy.
lengths, 10
Yeah.
lengths, 15 lengths. I mean, I guess the only thing you worry about is the old
Breaking
adage,
your
you
leg.
wanna
Yeah, don't
be too
break a
early.
leg at the finish line. Please don't
But
do that.
I've never seen anything like this. I mean,
No.
it's really amazing.
And the karma, if you will, that extends outside of it. Craig Counsell jumping ship, and even though he's doing a good job, the Cubs have a good record, but is now watching his former team. Aaron Savali asking for a trade. All right, we'll send you to the White Sox and get Andrew Vaughn, who is now overproducing. Devin Williams going to the Yankees, and he is not having fun in New York. His numbers are not good with the Yankees. So it's the people that wanted to stay here and put in the work that are making things happen. So the Brewers have an off day. They are heading to Cincinnati for a 3-game series. Coverage of the pregame tomorrow at 5:05 on several Civic Media stations. And a reminder, tomorrow is Free Ticket Friday, where you can win a game to a Brewers game in the coming days. I think I mistakenly said next week, but next week they're going to be at Wrigley Field. 5 games in 4 days. That's going to be a brutal stretch, perhaps. It's basically it's as compelling as it gets for a baseball fan. You're not going to want to miss this Brewers Cubs series. It could spell, it'll tell you exactly how the whole late season's going to go at this point.
The way I look at it is, it's sort of like being at the tables at the casino. And when you're hot, you don't go anywhere. So it's a good time to be there for 5 games, and let's just keep rolling and see if this hot streak continues.
Yeah. Let's keep it on sports for a sec here, because Mike Clemens, folks just heard him now reporting from Indianapolis, and the Packers are having a joint practice with the Indianapolis Colts today, and then playing a little preseason game Saturday afternoon in Indianapolis. These joint practices, are these things that have you ever covered, like training camp for any of this, or are you specifically, more focused on the high school sports up around there?
I basically are focused on the high school sports, and it reminds me of what high schools have done forever. Is actually tomorrow, because next week is the season opener for high school football around here. Tomorrow, teams all get together for scrimmages. Normally, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 teams all in one location, and they scrimmage. Like tomorrow, I'll be heading over and watching Wausau West scrimmage 3 different teams, and it's an opportunity to see some different folks after being in camp for a couple of weeks, and also a real chance to see what the intensity is like when you're not facing one of your buddies across the way, but somebody that really does want to hurt your quarterback, or you want to get after their quarterback. But I think in what I've been reading here in terms of the last couple of years, that these practices are where the coaches really get an idea about these players, as opposed to the preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this case, you'll see ones-on-ones a little bit more, and opportunities for guys to maybe step up and make impressions in a way that you don't see during the preseason game. In fact, I had not watched a Packer preseason game for a couple of years until last Saturday. And it's like, I'm gonna sit down on a Saturday evening, get on the couch in front of the TV. I'm going to watch some of this.
How'd that work
game.
out?
Boy, that was a mistake.
That's what I'm hearing.
But
it's
really funny. I was talking to one of the assistant coaches over at one of the high schools I covered the other day, and kind of brought up the Packer game. And he said, well, I was going to watch the game, but our internet, which connects to the cable, went out.
Mm-hmm.
Late Saturday afternoon, didn't come back until around midnight Saturday night. So he missed the entire game, and in the end, it was like the greatest internet outage that we've ever seen in our lives.
Yeah.
Because it was that bad.
It was that bad. I know. All right. Well, let's turn away from sports here and let folks know we're going to do a pop quiz on Chad Holmes here for a sec about the history of WXCO, because I'm going to tell you that next Wednesday, I will be at WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids, where they will be celebrating the station's 85th anniversary. And so we'll be talking a bit about the history of radio in Wisconsin Rapids. But it got me to thinking about WXCO, which has not been WXCO the entire time. But to what degree do they give you any pop quizzes there? Do they drill into you the history of what was originally WHVF back in 1953?
Actually, I saw some of the original paperwork a number of years back, because I've been around here a long time. But my old boss basically found all the paperwork. It was in an area in our building, and had the original paperwork when the original license from the Federal Communications Commission was signed, and it was in really good shape. I'll tell you that much. But it was basically I think 1953, if I'm not mistaken.
1953 with 250 watts of power. And the WHVF stood for the owner's initials. The owner was a person named Hilding V. Foreen. Hilding V. Foreen. They changed the call letters in September of 1964 to WXCO by the new owners, the Post Corporation, and then it's changed hands a lot of times since then. But says here, and I don't know if people ever talked to you about the history there, but for many years it was known as the home of the country gentleman. And it was the first full-time country music station in the area. I love this kind of local radio history. I really do.
Well, I just know as part of some of that material, what was really fun, and I know that historical people like ourselves, it had the original schedule. It would have, back in the day, you wouldn't have 3-hour shows like you have. It'd be a 15-minute show.
Yes. Yeah, there were a lot of 15-minute shows.
Here you go.
Yeah, there would be like 15-minute newscasts, 15-minute soap operas.
Yes.
15-minute cooking segments and things. But they also have, your local jocks, and it says here, and it's in Wikipedia, so it must be true. But some of the local personalities back then in Wausau included Buck Leverton, Hoots Roberts, Piano Roll Harold Golding, and Howie Stieber were among some of the early personalities. Then later on, they went to a conservative talk radio format, and now they've got the good stuff on. Here that they've had for some time, especially one Chad Holmes. You talking to anybody particularly fun or informative you want to tell us about?
Oh, it's been all sorts of interesting people. I mean, I've been my in-studio engineer is involved in a Shakespeare in the Park production that begins actually tonight, the outdoor theater here in Wausau. We have so many really wonderful things going on, and brought some of his castmates on to talk about that. Next week, with the school about to start up, got a new principal at Wausau West High School. We're going to talk about education, about some of the challenges going on in our schools here. So I'm looking forward to that. I know so much about the sports aspect, and I do know. I mean, I talk to folks over there all the time, but it's we're very fortunate with the Wausau School District to still have some very, very talented people, but some challenges as well. So we'll be looking at that as well coming up early next week. So again, try to mix it up in terms of some of the fun stuff and also some of the serious stuff that's going on here in the Wausau area.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can catch all that on 98.9 WXCO, or wherever you are. You can listen to WXCO through the Civic Media app and also through the website civicmedia.us. Chad, thank you so much. As always, have a great day.
You too, Pat.
All right. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll be talking to Sean O'Malley about your money and the markets. We'll be talking to Joe Zepecki as well about some of the Wisconsin political headlines, including the very shall we say, interesting gun idea from Republican candidate for governor Bill Berrien. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thank you for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
candy. Would you like some?
Mr. O'Malley, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Pat?
I am good. Let's see here. Stagflation light. I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the new term on the streets.
Okay.
Tough to pronounce in a scary economic situation, but we're looking at the light version.
Okay. Let's see. We got your bankruptcies, cost of living.
And we had some unfortunate news with PPI this morning that just got announced a few minutes ago. So market futures are down.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. We are in good shape here. Just looking. Yeah, boy, everybody likes to talk about those free burgers. So, as
I
well,
figured,
you're the first one that's actually tied it to the price of beef. This is good. We're going to hold that for 8:30, and we're going to do that one right off the top of that segment. So this will be fun.
Okay.
All right, we'll get going in 90 seconds. See you in
Very good.
The economic impact of free burgers might be my favorite segment we'll ever do, Pat.
Oh, good. I'll make note of that. Okay. Tomorrow on the program, we'll have our week in review panel, including former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel and veteran journalist Mark Jacob will join us as well. Mark will be talking about one of his new columns in his Stop the Presses newsletter, and it's all about reverse verification and how the Trump folks are nullifying reality. You can learn more in the Mark Jacobs newsletter, Stop the Presses, which you can also get through couriernewsroom.com. Also through Courier Newsroom is Below the Beltway, a new letter about what's happening in Washington, D.C. by Courier Newsroom's Cam Stevenson. And his most recent edition is entitled Trump's Solution to the Epstein Scandal, Lowering the Age of Adulthood. For real. We talked a bit about it on the program yesterday. If you missed that, then get Below the Beltway through couriernewsroom.com/newsletters. Let's bring in Sean O'Malley now to talk about your money in the markets. And you're going to want to stick around. We're not going to get into it right away, but all this talk about George Webb Burgers after 12 Brewer wins, that has something to do with money in the markets as well. So stick around and we'll tell you more about that. But first, we'll start with the not so pleasant news. And here comes the S word, stagflation. Sean O'Malley, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pat. Yeah, that difficult to pronounce, hard to understand economic concept of stagflation has reared its ugly head again. But since we're not quite meeting the exact definition, there's a term that's being bantered about on Wall Street right now to describe today's economic situation in the U.S., and that is stagflation light.
Oh, good. A diet version of stagflation. So
exactly.
All right. Well,
and in the convenient 6-pack carry size. So you're all set to take it out to the beach for the summer.
So how do we define stagflation light?
Yeah, stagflation light is basically what they're saying is what we're seeing, because we are seeing prices go up. We are seeing economic activity go down, and we're also seeing the number of jobs being created going down. It hasn't really manifested itself enough to quite meet the formal definition of stagflation. So they're using the term stagflation light to describe the situation.
And is there much of a differentiation between that versus what you would simply call a recession?
Recessions are typically not nearly as severe. That's typically a downturn in economic activity that also has inflation in many cases going down, and then economic activity returns again. So recession is really just GDP going down. Stagflation is GDP going down, prices going up. So it really is a way to have like the most unfortunate circumstances possible for the American public. And what we're seeing with this one is the added benefit of a really soft jobs market. So it is not a fantastic time, economically speaking, to be an American.
Well, and when we went through the original stagflation, late 70s, especially the early 80s, and getting out of it was painful.
Yes.
A story we don't have time to get into now, but eventually we came out the other side, and you would think that we would have learned all of those lessons. But again, we're going back more than 40 years now. But the way I'm framing it here is you almost have to work hard to screw up an economy so bad that we end up staring at stagflation again. But it looks like we have managed to create those conditions here in America once again.
Yeah, basically what they're doing is, again, following the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act playbook from the Great Depression, so almost a century ago, and seeing if that can now create stagflation instead of a depression. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Look, again, what you said, what they're trying in the Trump administration was what they tried 100 years ago. And interestingly enough, it's what I believe it was John Quincy Adams was trying 100 years before that. And it seems like it's every 100 years when all the people are dead who could have told you don't do that thing, is they're trying to do that thing again, which includes this heavy reliance on tariffs. Tell us about this Goldman Sachs new study on who really bears the cost of these tariffs.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be a popular report inside the Trump administration. So Goldman Sachs and their economic team has just come out with a report saying that it is the average American taxpayer that's going to be bearing 2/3 of the cost of the tariffs. So putting that into perspective, we've had approximately $200 billion of tariffs year to date so far. Given the size of the labor force, that means that of that $133 billion that's going to be borne by the average American taxpayer, that equates to about $1,000 per American worker that will have paid in additional monies, additional Trump tariff taxes so far this year.
And of course that just leads to, again, more financial pressure on people, and personal Chapter 7 bankruptcies are another indication of what this year's been like so far, right?
That's correct. We're seeing a 15% increase versus last year's Chapter 7 bankruptcies. They're up substantially. I think there's definitely, some concern. We're seeing a lot of pressure. There's a lot of economic pressure. There's the slowdown in jobs, and there are the increases in prices. So naturally, what happens? You have people having to go Chapter 7 bankruptcy because they can no longer afford to, pay the debt service that they have on their credit cards, on their, mortgage loan, on their car loan. It just becomes too much. And the only way they can get out of it is to go through a Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
I mean, again, you can look at all the indicators you want, but personal bankruptcy seems to be pretty high on the list. If that one's not looking good, you might want to rethink the course that you're taking here. Sean O'Malley is talking to us about your money in the markets, and you'll want to stick around because when we come back, we're going to talk to Sean about free burgers through George Webb, with the Brewers winning 12 games in a row. There's a lot of free publicity that George Webb gets, but there is a price to be paid as well in terms of today's economic conditions. And then Joe Zepecki will join us, and we will talk about Republican candidate for governor, Bill Berrien, and his latest thoughts on gun safety and maybe less safety. Is that a tenable political position? That's coming up. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. All righty. So, Sean, it's a 5-minute break, and Joe, you are there.
Mr. Zepecki.
Yes, he is. How are you doing? Oh, what do you got there? He's got his Miz shirt.
Oh, hell yeah.
Good deal. Hey, Sean, the day before yesterday, we had Jeff Renicky on from Friends of the Apostle Islands.
Yeah.
And talking about there's a system of buoys that give all kinds of wave data that are used out there.
Yeah.
You're familiar with that?
Oh, yeah. I have the app on my phone. I can get every single one in the United States. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
What have you done for sailing lately?
Not much for sailing lately. Unfortunately, the weather conditions, particularly the air quality, as well as wind speed, in a lot of cases, have been really lousy. So, really haven't had much of a chance to get out. But considering I'm having a lot of repair work done on one of my boats, that's okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not missing anything.
Safety first. Exactly. All right, guys, we're back in 4 minutes. See you in just a bit.
All right.
Joe Zepecki is waiting in the wings, but first, a little bit more of your money in the markets with Sean O'Malley, who has grown up in Hudson, spent a lot of years on Wall Street, loves to sail out of Bayfield. And we had Jeff Renicky from Friends of the Apostle Islands on the program back on Tuesday talking about the Wave Watch buoys that are out there. And is that something that you use during your sailing around that part of Lake Superior as well?
Oh yeah, I mean there are actually apps that you can get on your phone where you can get that sort of data all the time. I've used it, especially last summer when I came from Newport, Rhode Island, all the way to Bayfield. You want to know what sort of wave action you're going to be dealing with, wind conditions, that sort of thing. So there's a whole map that you can get. You can pick a particular buoy, and it will tell you what sort of conditions it's seeing. What the wave heights are approximately, and some information about the wind as well.
It's like a Waze for waves, virtually.
It is very helpful to know what you're going to be going into and how serious it is.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for a moment. Producer Price Index is out. What can you tell us about that and how the markets are reacting?
Yeah, the markets aren't liking it. Producer Price Index came in higher than expected. Shouldn't have been that much of a surprise after the core CPI number on Tuesday came in again higher than expected. The futures this morning are already down about 30 to 40 basis points. So not huge, but you're getting close to that 0.5% type range. We'll see what happens when the markets open here very shortly.
And what can you tell us about speaking of prices and the economy overall? We've talked a lot about George Webb, that burger chain in Southeast Wisconsin, getting all kinds of publicity they don't have to pay for these free burgers, but the free burgers don't come free to them.
They certainly do not. I mean, congratulations to the Brewers winning 12 games straight, reminding me of the streak the Twins had back in 1987. For those of us old enough to remember that. And but yeah, there's going to be a bit of an impact to give all Milwaukeeans a free hamburger because beef prices have gone up 11.3%. So far this year. So that's going to jack it up a little bit. And that's largely due to the fact that we are dealing with the smallest beef herd in the United States in 75 years. Wow. That's largely climate change driven. It's the droughts that are making it more expensive to raise cattle.
So probably makes the burgers more popular, knowing what people know about how much beef prices are in the grocery store.
Yeah,
these days.
Demand continues pretty much unabated. So, America still loves its burgers. And so the price is moving since the quantity is not dropping.
Yep, makes total sense. Sean O'Malley, hey, thank you very much. Hope you get back on the boat soon. We'll talk to you a little later.
Thank you much, Pat. Have a good day.
You bet. 8:38 now. Let's bring in Joe Zepecki for the more positive end of the Brewers winning streak. Are you getting in line later today or sometime to get your free hamburger from George Webb?
Not today. I think they said they would announce at noon today, and it is likely to be sometime next week. Mm-hmm. So I am certainly hopeful that the hours will work for my schedule.
I don't doubt you'll find a way to make it work. Because is that one of the Jacob Mizorowski T-shirts that they were giving away last Sunday?
It is. Someone who loves me went to the game while I was on a little trip with my boys and snagged a shirt for me.
Oh, that was awfully nice. And how do you like that on that day, Sunday, was the morning everybody woke up to this terrible flooding and the Brewers were telling everybody, hey, we're still going to hold the game, but half the parking spaces are flooded and, we apologize. You might not get there in time for a T-shirt. You got the T-shirt and they still got a sellout crowd that day. There is something special happening down there in your part of the state.
There is something special happening all over the state and outside of the state. I was talking to my nephew, Mac, who turned 7 this week, and his brother and sister, they're up in the Twin Cities, and they have caught the Brewers fever. So it is spreading. And I want to say there's something special going on around the Brewers, but I also want to highlight that there's something special going on in the response to these floods. Neighbors helping neighbors, people pitching in and helping out and being understanding, that is the best of community and a reminder that we are not individual elements just trying to figure it out on our own. We're a community, and people rallied. We see people helping, their neighbors clean out their basements and get stuff to where it needs to be. So I just want to recognize that because it's really easy in these kind of crisis-like situations to just focus on the 30,000 foot, oh, this is about climate, and oh, what's the public policy response going to be? Let's point out how good-hearted people are when it comes to their neighbors being in need.
Well, it kind of echoes what we heard last hour from Mike Van Someren, a candidate for state senate there. He's in the Delafield area. And look, that is a heavily red district. But he talked about the whole notion of teamwork, and more people see Republicans in Madison and in Washington. They're not part of a team. They're just out there for themselves. And I'm old enough to remember 2006 when a lot of districts that people thought would never turn blue managed to flip. So I just feel like I don't care what district you're in. No Republican incumbent, no Republican candidate should go, well, everybody else is going to struggle, but my district's going to be easy next year.
Every Republican should be running scared. Instead, we're increasingly seeing them run continually crazy and to the furthest reaches of the Trump insanity that we're seeing in Washington. Candidates who want to replicate that here in Wisconsin, for example, it's insane.
Well, that takes us to Bill Berrien, and I want to applaud Bill Berrien because one of the big knocks on candidates is that they're consultant driven, they're poll driven, and just do whatever the poll. Put your lick your finger, put it up to the wind, and do what the polls tell you. And Bill Berrien, he's not going to listen to that polling that says 80 to 90% of Americans want better gun safety measures. He's out there telling folks, I want to get rid of concealed carry altogether. You've got your concealed carry permit. It's called the Constitution. And that he wants more guns in school zones, more guns on the street. You can't accuse this guy of being poll driven if he's going to pick something that stupidly unpopular.
No, and here are the Wisconsin numbers based on the Marquette University Law School poll. So 69% of Wisconsinites support the current law, which requires licenses and trainings to have a concealed carry permit. 82% of voters oppose the idea of getting rid of that way of doing concealed carry permits. And so, but this isn't about popularity. This is about Bill Berrien trying, probably in vain, to win the endorsement of Donald Trump, because he's got a Nikki Haley problem. He's got a COVID response criticism problem when it comes to Donald Trump. And so he needs to figure out, what are the issues where I can go full chaos, full MAGA? And this apparently is one that he's landed on. Mr. Berrien, whose service to this country in uniform we applaud and we honor and we respect, received hours and hours and hours of training on how to safely handle weapons and firearms in order to become a Navy SEAL. Now, nothing in Wisconsin law requires similar training to have a concealed carry permit, but we have basic rules of the road to keep communities safe, just as we do for if you want to go drive a big rig. You got to have a CDL. You got to pass a test, right? There are very straightforward and simple rules of the road for, well, road and life if you want to be in possession of things like big trucks or guns that can kill people. And so to me, it's just another example of Berrien knows he can't win if he doesn't get the Trump endorsement, and he's not on track to get the Trump endorsement.
No, and in fact, Adam puts on YouTube, I caught myself listening to a few minutes of conservative radio yesterday talking about Bill Berrien's concealed carry proposal. Not even Republicans want this.
Law-abiding gun owners know that that's crazy, right? There are common sense pieces of gun safety legislation missing from our statutes in Wisconsin. As of right now, if you are a gun owner and your gun is stolen, you are not required to report that to law enforcement. That's a problem. That makes communities less safe. That makes law enforcement officers less safe. Right now, domestic violence offenders can still access firearms. That is a common sense. Other states have done this thing. We should do that. If you hit your partner, if you are violent in your home, you cannot have a handgun, period. That is something that we should do. It's something that Sarah Rodriguez, our lieutenant governor, a candidate for governor on the Democratic side, talked about as part of this story yesterday around Berrien. And so Democrats are right on this issue. The public is with them. And we got to remember not to get distracted by the MAGA crazy and continue to remind people just how devastating the economic agenda of people like Trump and people like Berrien will be for Wisconsin. Every time I hear a Berrien ad, he's talking about bringing the Trump agenda to Wisconsin. The Trump agenda, tariffs that are out of control, just raised producer costs, wholesale prices to the highest level in like 3 or 4 years in July. We are seeing more inflation coming because of this insanity when it comes to Trump's economic policy, not to mention more tax cuts for the rich and less for those who work for a living. And what does Berrien say? Yeah, let's sign Wisconsin up for more of that. Come on.
From on the text line from Troy and Mount Horeb, CDL holder here. I can attest to the licensing. People get this. This is common sense stuff. So it begs this question, and I don't. The usual disclaimer, we're going to talk about, what candidates are in, what candidates are out in the governor's race, and there's not a lot new to share here. But I do wonder if, as Bill Berrien continues to answer these questions and answer them poorly, I know you said any other future candidate, they're going to do things on their own timeline. I almost wonder if one of the things on their timeline is, oh my God, this guy, this is my opportunity now to show that I'm a better candidate than this guy. His answers might actually propel somebody to move up their announcement.
Yeah, they might. If he's going to keep stepping on rakes, if Josh Schoeman is going to continue to try to hide in the tall grass and not weigh in on these types of things, if Tom Tiffany is going to continue to flirt very publicly and go in parades up north with Tom Tiffany for governor signs, but not actually say whether he's running or not, they're all being too cute by half.
Oh, yeah.
And people are not going to respond well to that.
Right. Well, and look, I have said I don't think Congressman Tom Tiffany is going to run. I think he's very comfortable there. He knows he has very little name ID elsewhere. He's using this probably to promote his name ID and also his fundraising. And who knows? Maybe he's got his eye on the U.S. Senate. He's already serving in Washington, and maybe when Ron Johnson's term is up, he wants to go. However, looking at, like you said, everything you just said about the current field, if you're a Tom Tiffany, you go, maybe. Why not? There's certainly nobody else who is like the de facto candidate at this point on the Republican side.
No, there isn't. And my message to Mr. Tiffany would be, sir, I'm concerned about your safety. It sounds like Washington, D.C. is very unsafe. And so why not come back to Wisconsin and serve as governor?
Yeah, so go ahead, run. I think that could be a lot of fun. Joe Zepecki is with us here. A local update is next for some of you. Others will have some final news and notes here from Lake Wissota. And a reminder that tomorrow we will have our Week in Review panel here, along with Mark Jacob and former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel will be here as well. No Kristen Lyerly tomorrow, but she will be in here on Monday to talk all about her field trip to Peru and the international conference that she's attending for other docs like herself. So listen for that come Monday. We'll pause here. And again, for some of you having a local update, we'll see you back here 6 a.m. tomorrow morning here up north. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. So, Joe, do you want to do any Epstein stuff? I've got a text here asking, why aren't we seeing more outrage from Republicans about the Ghislaine Maxwell move to lower security, as well as the D.C. takeover, which, again, flies in the face of all the big government stuff that's out there. You want to jump on that, or we'll probably start with that Illinois redistricting excuse?
Sure.
Okay. All right. That all sounds good. So what's on your docket now? You've done German Fest. You've done all your other festivals.
It's football season.
Oh, that's right.
Got our scrimmage on Friday, and then we're into week 1.
Wow. Okay. So that's your life.
That's keeping me busy. That and cleaning out my sister's basement with my brother-in-law yesterday.
Oh, no. Oh, how bad
brutal.
was it?
It's pretty bad.
Ugh. I can't even. I mean, talking to Earl yesterday, about 3 feet of water, and all of his came up through the sewer.
This came up through the sewer. It wasn't 3 feet though. It was more like 6 inches. But
still,
it almost doesn't matter, right?
No, it
Like,
doesn't
you gotta
matter
get-
at that point,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's where Jane was so thankful. Hers was all clear water, came in as rainwater, not from the sewers. But
Yeah.
either way, oh
No, and they've got littles, who are 3 under the age of 6, and so mold. I mean, it stunk when I got over there.
Oh, I just can't even imagine. Look who's back from the dentist's office
who
over
decided
here
to show up.
Well, look what the cat dragged in, boys and girls.
Yes, I have my dental supplies.
Oh, that's so
But
good. Good for you.
It was real. I mean, any chance to hang out with Joe Zepecki this early in the morning, I mean, it's going to be a great day.
All right. Well, good. We'll take it. Did you pass? Are your pearly whites still pearly?
No cavities, and my hygienist is booked out till next May. I can't get back in until May.
You make it sound like you want to. You're rushing to get back in.
I kind of enjoy it.
You kind of enjoy?
You enjoy it?
Yeah, for the
I
same.
feel like I'm watching the Addams Family over here. Oh, Uncle Fester loves putting his finger in the socket there. He just thinks that's the best.
It's fantastic.
I
I have a good dentist, Dr. Rob Bradley, First Choice Dental, Madison.
Okay.
And my hygienist, Jeanette.
Okay. Well, that's great. Mine always ask questions. It's like, why are you asking me questions? You have all these implements in my mouth. I'm just going. They want to go. Hey, what was it like being on TV? Is Senator so and so really as crazy as he seems?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which senator so and so you're talking about either.
Right.
All right. Back in a bit. Here we go. Tomorrow is another free ticket Friday, so get that Civic Media app, listen for keywords throughout the day, text that keyword to us through the app, and be in a statewide drawing for Brewers tickets to a game late next week. We'll give you specifics on all that coming up tomorrow morning, including that keyword here on these mornings powered by Up North News on the Civic Media Radio Network. Continuing our visit now with Joe Zepecki. And look who showed up now after his dentist appointment. He couldn't be with us an hour ago as scheduled, but his pearly whites are here. He's got his toothpaste. He's got his little tiny tube or his little toothbrush and his tiny tube of toothpaste. Todd Alba, boys and girls, is here as well. Did you pass the inspection?
I passed, no cavities, so I'm very happy about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good.
So
good.
I apologize for being late, but now I get to hang out with the great Joe Zepecki, so my day is complete.
Exactly. So we've got that going. And actually, I can get your thoughts on the question I'm about to ask Joe first. And that is this is the But Her Emails portion of the show. But instead of But Her Emails, it's But Illinois Redistricting, which is what we're hearing now from Republicans in Texas and elsewhere, frankly, around here going, Illinois, they gerrymander. They're heavily Democratic. Joe, there's a bit of a difference here, isn't there?
There is. This is the middle of a decade. And rather than try to sell the economic bill that the Trump administration and MAGA Republicans in Congress just passed, which will make your health care cost more, will lower your net worth if you make less than $60,000 a year, while giving massive handouts to billionaires and super millionaires, they're saying, let's just change the rules of the game, right? It's easier to do that than to try to make this dog hunt when it comes to popularity among the voters. And so they don't think the rules exist or apply to them. They think they can just do whatever they want anytime they want. And this is bad. It's not good that Illinois gerrymanders. We should be for independent, nonpartisan redistricting commissions in every state. And Democrats, whether it's in California or Illinois, are not going to let Republicans rig the 2026 elections because their agenda is unpopular. That's not how this works.
Todd, you have a unique perspective, and you may not necessarily agree entirely with this take, but I want your perspective because you were in the room when redistricting was talked about by Wisconsin Republicans in 2011, and you found it very distasteful, and you've explained many times why. So with that bit of experience, how does that shape your opinion of what's happening in Texas?
Well, I think I agree pretty much with Joe that what's happening in Texas is appalling. It's not the normal cycle, and it's being done for direct partisan purposes at the political genuflecting of Donald Trump. I mean, he doubled down on the record, said, "Yeah, I asked Abbott to do this in Texas." So, yeah, I mean, certainly I've been in the room and seen Republicans do it. I do think it's noteworthy. I mean, again, I wish we had more Democrats like Joe Zepecki, because, I mean, he just did the exact right thing. Yeah, Democrats do it too in Illinois. Doesn't make it right, but what's happening in Texas is different and worse. That's all I think most people are looking for. That's why I think the Illinois Governor Pritzker is exactly the wrong person to be talking about this, the lead person. He was on Late Show with Colbert last week, and Colbert held up the map, I believe, I'll stand corrected, by I think 2 of the worst gerrymandered districts congressionally in America are Democratic districts in Illinois. And Colbert's like, what about this? And instead of just doing what Joe did and said, yeah, you know what, I'm going to try to work on our state to make this right, doesn't make it right, and then move on, he makes a joke about, we'll let our kindergartners draw maps in Illinois. The late, great Democratic State Senator Tim Cullen used to say, Todd, both sides have done this. It doesn't make it right. And that's why I worked in a bipartisan manner with my former boss, Dale Schultz, to get something done in Wisconsin about it. So, yeah, I think we have to say that both sides do it. But what's happening in Texas is different. It's for direct partisan purposes. And I'm really torn on this. I mean, I'm pretty much a person that just wants fair maps. But I also think there's something to be said that if Democrats just clutch their pearls and go, oh, no, once this is gone, it's gone. And I think that Democrats like Newsom have to at least play the arms race with this thing and at least threaten. And it's a game of poker. At least act like you're going to do it, because if this goes through in Texas, I don't know how Democrats get it back, and I don't know how we get democracy back.
No, and it puts a lot of pressure on people like Joe, who you've advised, many candidates over time. So, genuine question to you. If you were advising Wisconsin legislative Democratic candidates, would you be telling them to go one way or the other? Two wrongs don't make a right. We should embrace, independent, nonpartisan redistricting, or should it be, nope, you should tell people that we should absolutely do this. This is warfare. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. How do you advise legislative candidates this year about something that's become so toxic?
You tell people to be for what they are for. And in the case of Wisconsin, because we have split control, a Democratic governor and a Republican legislature at the moment, there's not going to be any changes, not via the courts, not via the regular order before 2026. And I do think this is sort of an immediate arms race ahead of the 2026 election cycle. I don't think even Republicans in 2028, 2 years before the next regular census, I don't think this is going to be an issue in 2028 and 2029. And it shouldn't be. So Democrats running in Wisconsin should be for fair maps and a better process to get there. Full stop.
There you go. Appreciate the answers from both of you there. And Todd, I appreciate you dropping in after the dentist. Did you actually say you enjoy these cleanings from the hygienist?
I have a very good hygienist. She does a great job. There's no pain. And
no pain? Honestly,
no, there's no pain.
I feel like I'm watching an episode of The Addams Family, and Uncle Fester is putting his finger in a light socket because it makes you feel good. This is a first for me. We're going to explore this further sometime, Todd Alba. Right. I'm glad you're back
I look
safely.
more like Fester these days. I love my
no blood pouring out of your mouth or anything. This is great. No. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it so much.
Thanks, guys.
Go Brewers.
Go Brewers. Have a great day. Thanks to all of you for joining us as well. Join us tomorrow for our Week in Review panel. And remember, sign up for our newsletters. Head over to upnorthnewswi.com. Click subscribe up in the top banner. I'm Pat Kreitlow, founding editor of Up North News, part of Courier Newsroom, a pro-democracy newsroom. Go to couriernewsroom.com to read much more about all that we do. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. We'll see you Friday, 6 a.m., bright and early here up north. All right, and now, of course, we keep the live stream going so that we can do promos, and so you can hear what else we do when we abuse Todd Alba so horribly like this. So
I deserve. I gave him less than 12 hours notice because I wasn't keeping track of my schedule.
I loved it. It's great. You're allowed to have a life. It's okay.
I appreciate
Especially if you're going to bring stories like that. I mean, the man loves to go to the hygienist. This is
I don't mind it.
Yeah. Okay.
After 15 years, you kind of know, you talk about each other's families. So, hey, what's going on there? Where are you taking vacation and stuff like that? So you catch up.
It's a heck of a way to catch up. So from now on, when I come down to Madison and we go over to Wonder State and get a cup of coffee, and I ask you how you're doing, I'm just going to jam my finger down your throat and go, "Hi, how you doing there, buddy? Everything all right?" Because apparently that's your definition of social interaction.
Maybe it shows you like my quality of my social calendar.
Could be. All right, man.
All right.
I will talk to you later.
Have a good day, guys. Bye.
All right, see you. All right.
See you, Dad.
All right. Let's see.
What a guy.
From Indianapolis.
I've had Folsom Prison Blues stuck in my head all day, and I only know the first two lines.
Oh, that's no fun.
It's great. It's a great song. I wish I knew more of it.
Well, the only way to fix that is to, keep playing it over and over again until you get the lyrics figured out. Let's see. What do we got here? On Friday, Mike Clemens joins us live from Indianapolis for a preview of Saturday's Packers-Colts preseason game. Then we need just a little bit more there. Okay, preview of Packers-Colts preseason preview of Saturday's Colts preseason plus Jim Santel and Mark Jacob. No Jennifer Schulze tomorrow. Okay. Okay, ready when you are.
Rolling.
Okay, here we go. On Friday, Mike Clemens joins us live from Indianapolis for a preview of Saturday's Packers-Colts preseason game, plus Jim Santel and Mark Jacob. One more time. On Friday morning, Mike Clemens joins us live from Indianapolis to preview Saturday's Packers-Colts preseason game, plus Jim Santel and Mark Jacob. Are you happy?
That'll do, donkey. That'll do.
Okay. I'm going to go write up some more of these things for Labor Day, and I will talk to you a little later. Bye, live streamers.
Okay.